Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody this morning? Happy Saturday morning to you as we close in on Christmas and New Year's. All right, there's an Egon video and a Mark McGuire video. One's as good as gold, Australia, and the other one's his normal Mark McGuire video that nobody seems to understand because he talks Chinese. I haven't watched them yet. I'll present them, but I won't. I don't have the time to look, which, in other words, like, oh, at the 10-minute mark, let's watch this. I don't have that yet. I got to watch that. I'll probably watch it during football. I can watch it on my phone and watch the football. Yesterday, Liberty 49-35. I like the over in the game. And then Oregon, Washington, I played the under 72 and a half. It was 34-31, a 65, and it really was 24-20. Or when I checked in the third quarter, it was 24-20 Oregon. Washington, I don't know where they've been the last 3 weeks. They haven't even scored 34 on teams like Washington State and Oregon State. So I don't know what happened that all of a sudden they got excited, but so now Oregon's actually out. They've got 2 losses, both to Washington. It's a matchup thing, I guess, and it's just hard to believe that Oregon won't be in the playoff, but Washington will be. Hello, Booby. Are you related to Booby Clark? Grand Rising. Well, okay. Have a nice day too. Welcome here. So Washington's in the playoff. They're undefeated. Michigan probably will be. They're not going to lose to Iowa. Georgia should be in, and the question will be, will Alabama be in? And that depends on if Texas beats Oak State. And then what happens with Florida State if they win. But I don't know if they're going to win without their quarterback. So today the free pick's Georgia, 5.5. I've seen a few 4.5s. All of a sudden there's a few questionables. Brock Bauer and a few other players are questionable. The receivers, but I would think they'd play. I don't like these late injuries because I'm looking at injuries on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, making the pick. And then here on Friday, all of a sudden he's questionable with the undisclosed. We'll see, but I would imagine he'd play. But we're really betting it on the running and the defense, and they're all fine. It's just the receivers are a little bit nicked, but they're questionable. So let's run through the line. So again, Washington wins 34-31. I got under 72. It doesn't even get close to that. I could have given up one more touchdown, would have been, it was 65, would have been 72. I had 72.5, so I would have won, even if another touchdown scored. But Washington ran the clock out. But good game. But again, where did the Oregon defense go that's been so strong against USC and Colorado and all these other teams? And that's where you get a little confused. Great defense, but there's always a matchup problem. All right, let's go into today's line. Now, I use score and odds lines, but even in here, if you hit the matchup key, there's 6 or 7 different sports casino books, like DraftKings and all that shit. I don't even call them books. I don't know what they are. So it does give you maybe a half a point difference. So Texas 14.5, 56.5. That's up from 54.5. I don't know. Oak State's over team with the great running back, and they give up 27 a game. Texas, the A team, with a good defense, which I'm not sure that means anything anymore. 17 defense. So we're going to sit here and try to figure out if that means anything. So Texas is the A team. Again, lost 34-31 to Oklahoma. Beat K-State 34-31, something like that. I don't know. I kind of am leaning towards Oak State in 20.5. Washington wasn't doing anything, and now they look good, and I'm thinking the same here. Oak State, I think, brings it. My coffee's ready. Hold on one second. Okay, so I don't know. After last night's game, I think Oak State in 20.5 is pretty good. Hate to lay more than a touchdown. Texas is good defense, but Oak State's got the best player in college football, Ollie Davis, the running back. Pullman's okay as a quarterback. Their defense is okay. But I like that they beat Oklahoma and Kansas State and Kansas. So especially Oklahoma and Kansas State have the same defense as Texas. They didn't have any problem putting up 40 points on those teams. So like that. And then 56.5, I think this game goes over. I think in these type of games, like the Washington game yesterday, I think they just score. I think higher scores happen. It's emotional. Once they get going, then the other team starts panicking. It's not like a regular game. You get down 10 points, you start coming back. Look at Oregon in the second half yesterday. Boom, boom, 2 touchdowns. Made Washington score, and Oregon scored, and the whole thing. So that's kind of how I view it. So this probably gets over 50, I think, is a joke here. Toledo, 7.5, 42.5. This line has not moved. This is a very good game. Miami, Ohio is a B team with the 16 defense. Again, a big defense. In Ohio, and Toledo is a A team with the 20 defense. So you got 2 pretty good defensive teams. The quarterback from Miami of Ohio has broke his leg. He's out, Gabbert. So the backup's playing. He's okay. They've still won with him. Toledo's got the best team in the MAC. They're really the only A team. In other words, they score 30 points. Miami of Ohio probably scores 27, 28 for me to call them a B team. And that's why I put the guy down. So it's very easy. I can see what I graded them. So I know, okay, they score. To be a B, you probably score 28, 29, 30. To be an A, you're in the 30s. So Toledo with a little better offense, better quarterback. Both have strong defenses. I think Toledo wins this game. I think it'll be close. I don't know about the score. 42.5 seems like a pretty low total. But we'll see. I think I'm more leaning towards Toledo just to get the W. Boise, 2.5. And that game's in Detroit. The Texas game's at Jury World, AT&T Stadium. Boise Vegas game is in Vegas. Boise 2.5, 60.5, up from 58.5. So the over is being bet. They're both over teams with 26 defenses. Vegas, I really like. They're a strong dog here, especially at home. They beat Air Force. They put up 30 points on that defense. I like Vegas to win, and I like the game over. Both over teams, and they both can score. But Vegas is a really strong team that you probably don't know anything about. Good quarterback. Boise's quarterback's out, and their backup's playing, but he's played the last 3 or 4 games. Green, and he's played a lot during the year, but he's not as good as the one that got injured. I just think Vegas an 8.5. I think it'll be a close game. And I think it's definitely a high-scoring game. As you can see, it went from 58 to 60. Definitely think this will be high-scoring. SMU Tulane, Tulane 3.5, 47.5. The game is at Tulane, so Tulane is on their home field. Liberty was on their home field yesterday, and Troy is on their home field. The others are in the, Michigan's in the Indy Dome, and Florida State's at Charlotte, and Georgia, Alabama's in Atlanta at the Mercedes Stadium, and Texas is at the AT&T, and even Toledo's in Detroit. It's not at Toledo. So SMU Tulane 3.5, 47.5. Normally I would jump on SMU. They're the better team. They're a strong dog, but Stone, the quarterback, broke his leg last week. He's out. Backup comes in. I have no idea who he is. I looked at the box score because Stone got hurt. I don't know when. They didn't do a lot of passes after that. And, hey, Greg and John, they didn't do a lot of passes after that, so I couldn't get a read on the backup came in and was 15 to 20. He threw like 2 passes. So I think they're going to run the ball more. I think it's the only way. Maybe they're bringing one of these running quarterbacks. I don't know who they have. Stone was a freshman who was very good. The game's in Tulane, over under 47.5. Both teams have good defenses. So with Stone, I take SMU 9.5, but he's out, so I can't do that. I don't know if I want to take Tulane at home. They probably win. They're a very good team. They're a B team, both strong defenses. I think the play here is under 47.5. So you go under 53.5. Where are you going to get the points? And you got 2 very good defenses, and they're not. What are they going to do? So SMU, they can't really open up their game without a quarterback. And Tulane's got a strong defense that likes to pressure the quarterback. Ask UTSA and Frank Harris last week. He got sacked like 5 times. They couldn't move the ball on UTSA couldn't move the ball on Tulane, and it's at Tulane. So I like Tulane. I like the Tulane game under. I don't think I want to mess. Well, Tulane's probably a decent bet because Stone's out, the SMU quarterback, but I kind of like the game under more because SMU's got to be very conservative with it. Georgia 4.5, 54.5. There's some injuries that I'm starting to see. Brock Bowers questionable with an undisclosed. Well, that helps us. So he might be the reason it's 4.5. I like Georgia. This is your free play. It's in Atlanta. It's because of their Auburn ran the ball down Alabama's throat last week, and Georgia can run the ball a lot better than Alabama. I just think they run it, and I think the Georgia defense is going to be all over Milrose. He likes to scramble. You don't scramble on Georgia. What Ohio State did is the quarterback actually ran when they were in man defense. Well, I'm sure Georgia has that fixed, and they won't play the man defense and let Milrose run all over the place. I think they pressure Milrose because that's what Georgia does. They pressure the quarterback. And I like Georgia here. I don't see them losing. They're a lot better than Alabama. So take Georgia. Again, it's not confirmed. Let's see. Let's go to injuries and see if they've updated this. I checked about 20 minutes ago, and it still had Brock Bowers questionable. Yeah, old lineman questionable, Brock Bowers questionable, and 3 receivers questionable. I would think they all play. Maybe there's a reason. Let's go to Google. Alabama's running back McClanahan will miss the game due to a foot. On the flip side, the Bulldogs are working to get multiple key players back who missed the Georgia Tech game. Starters Ratledge, McConkey, and Brock Bowers, along with wideout Rara Thomas, were expected to take the field after being held out last week. But comments on Thursday indicate there's still more to find out regarding their injuries. When asked about their injured offensive starters, I'm trying to figure that out myself. So Brock Bowers, ankle questionable. Bowers didn't play last week versus Georgia Tech due to soreness in a surgically repaired ankle. So that's the ankle injury he had earlier in the year. Bowers did some 11-on-11 work in practice this week, but his status is still in doubt. But I think he'll play. Offensive guards limited. And then McConkey, who we need, he's got an ankle. So it's a lot of the wide receivers. So if anything, I'm not sure if it makes the game an under or not. But I guarantee you they go out there and try to play. The question will be, how long do they play? Let's see. Kirby Smart, his final injury.
Kirby, what does the availability look like this week for Brock, for Ladd, for Rara, and for Tate?
Yeah, great question, because I'm trying to figure that out myself. And I don't have a lot more answers now than I had on Monday. They have not been able to do a lot. Each one has worked kind of independently.
This is the coach.
Has done some drill work, some 11-on-11 stuff. Brock sprinkled in some of that. The other guys have been able to run and do some things, but
so my take on it.
Watch football all season long.
My take on it is they will try to play because it's a championship game. They don't want to miss the game. As a football player, as anything, and ask Bobby, I mean, if it's the World Series or this is like the, they're in the divisional series, Bobby's playing, even with this flu he's got. It's a big game. They want to win the national title again. They don't want to lose. These guys will play. It's the question of how long. But I think it'll give them an emotional list of, Brock Bowers is on the field. Like a Willis Reed in the 71 Knicks, right? He came out. He had the pulled hamstring. He limps out. And then 2 minutes later, he's on the bench. But it was that emotional that he's limping and trying to play, and he didn't do shit. But that's what I think Brock Bowers would give them, is a little bit of help. So he's clearly not 100% after the ankle problem, but I'm sure he'll try to do something. Maybe he comes in on goal line plays or, third downs where they need a big catch. So I still like their defense, and I think they'll run more, and I think this makes this game more of an under than an over. I liked it under anyway, but with all this, they'll just have to run more, which will make it an under game. And I think their defense will get after Milrose. And after watching the Auburn game, I mean, it's like, okay, now you're going to face a real team, not Auburn. You couldn't beat Auburn. All right. Troy, App State. Troy, 5.5, 52.5 to App State. Games in Troy. Troy's an A team with the 17 defense. App State's an over team with the 27 defense. Great quarterback on App State. They play very well. I think they're a strong dog here, and I think the game goes over. Two good quarterbacks. Should be pretty, all we need is 46. 26-20, I can easily see the game being like a 35-28 type of game. Again, yeah, Troy with the 17 defense is like Oregon with the 17 defense. App State will pick them apart. They got a very good offense, so I like the game over. Maybe App State in 11.5 is probably pretty good too. That game is in Troy, Alabama. Florida State, Louisville. We've got Florida State 1.5, 46.5. The numbers going down. You've got no whatchamacallit, their quarterback's out. Travis. Couldn't believe I couldn't remember his name. Louisville's an A team with the 20 defense. Florida State's an A team with the 17 defense. However, they're not an A team today because they're not going to score the 35 points a game they've been scoring with the backup quarterbacks. And now they're going to score maybe 20. Look at last week against Florida, who does not have a good defense. It was like 25-14. They're not going to get 25 on Louisville. Louisville's got a very strong defense. Again, they beat Notre Dame. Beating Duke and keeping Duke, they didn't have Riley Leonard, so you really can't look at that. But the Notre Dame game, they got Hartman. Again, that's what I looked at last week with Ohio State, Michigan, was the Notre Dame game, and it came through for us. A little bit higher scoring than I thought. But holding Hartman and then holding J.J. McCarthy, I don't know. People think he's good. I think that pass he threw in between the people it was just luck. That other play wasn't an interception. They called it a touchdown, but the guy clearly didn't have control of the ball. Now how did the Ohio State player get it? So I don't believe that was a touchdown either. So Michigan got lucky to win. We'll see. But anyway, Florida State not going to move the ball that much against Louisville, and Louisville is not going to move. Florida State knows they need the pressure. They can't allow a lot of points if they want to win, and they're undefeated. And they got to prove that they want to be in the playoff. They got to do something. They got to say, look, our backup's okay. So look for them to do something. But Florida State 1.5, the game's in Charlotte. It's not at Florida State. You got to go under here. Where's the points coming from? Louisville with a very strong defense. I'm not sure how much Florida State's going to score with the backup. And Louisville, they're not going to score a lot against this Florida State team. They don't. Plummer is not that good of a quarterback from Purdue. So I look for this to be low scoring, probably under 20, 17-14 or something. Or Louisville maybe gets 20 and Florida State gets 10, but I don't see a lot of scoring here. And the last but not least, Michigan, 21.5, 34.5. Michigan, the A team, beat Ohio State, beat Penn State. They finally played two college teams. it only took 13 weeks to figure out who they were, because you had no idea because of their soft schedule. You had absolutely no idea. Iowa's an under team. They don't score. McNamara, their quarterback, who was at Michigan, who could have helped, knowing Michigan's defense would have helped. They're a 12 defense. Ohio State was a 9 defense. Michigan put up 30 on them. I think Michigan wins this game easy, and I think the under is way too low. 30. This should be a 42-43 total with Michigan in it. Iowa's defense, Michigan's going to have no problem scoring 30 points, probably about maybe upper 30s, because once you get into a playoff game, which is kind of what we have here, Michigan's going to score. They don't want to keep it close, and Iowa then has to open it up. So they get down 14-0. They can't run the ball and play defense anymore. They got to start throwing. It's going to lead to pick sixes and turnovers and sacks. Iowa doesn't have an offense. So I think Michigan wins like 35-7. Maybe Iowa gets shut out, but let's give them a pick six, a fumble return, probably not an offensive touchdown against this Michigan defense. And Michigan probably gets in the, you put up 30 on Ohio State, you're putting up 35 here. Plus, it's more of a desperation game. Like, we've got to win it. And once the emotion gets going and they start scoring, they're going to score and score and score. So definitely an over here. Definitely like Michigan. I think they win by 30. You can lay 15. You can go over. Either, what's your pleasure? But this game won't be close. And Iowa, I don't know why they're even in it. I don't know how they won so many games without an offense. They weren't too bad with McNamara, the Michigan guy. They actually put up a 40 on Kent State. That's what I'm looking at. So, again, your free pick is Georgia. Yeah, they got a few injuries. I'm sure they'll shoot up, and I'm sure they'll play a little. This will be a very emotional game, obviously. But Kirby Smart beat Alabama, so he got the monkey off his back, in the championship game a few years ago. Funny how Alabama ducks him on the schedule every year, where Georgia plays Auburn and Georgia plays LSU, and then where's Alabama doesn't want to play Georgia. So they play Tennessee, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt or something like that. So look for Georgia, power them, and just play that suffocating defense they're so good at. And the game's in Atlanta. Without the receivers, they have other receivers, and they obviously they played without these guys last week. Powers didn't play, McConkey didn't play. They still put up 31 on Georgia Tech. And they held Georgia Tech to 21, and Georgia Tech's got a lot better offense than Alabama does. So I think they'll just pressure, Milrose, and he won't be able to run like he can, and that'll, they're not going to let him run all over the place. And so we're betting the defense. We're watching the Auburn game, and we're betting the running game and run and defense. But I do think this is a lower scoring game without the, how long is Brock Bowers and the receivers going to play? So that means it's going to be probably more of a running game. But this is Georgia. I mean, their backups are fine. They have more than 3 receivers, and they showed it last week. So I don't think this gets too high scoring. It's 54? Yeah, 54. That's a pretty big, under 60. Alabama's not going to run up and down the field on Georgia. Sorry. And if they do have these injuries and they can't play, I'm sure they'll try how long they go. Then I just don't see, I can see it going to be more of a running game for Georgia, and let's play defense. And Alabama's going to be in big trouble. I mean, they're in trouble against Auburn, so come on. Anybody says, well, it's the Iron Bowl. That doesn't mean anything. Bullshit, it doesn't mean anything. Auburn's not that bad of a team. And they could run the ball, and they had a pretty good defense, and they held Georgia. They played Georgia 27-20. The fact I like is Georgia beating Tennessee and Missouri as easily as they did. And those teams are very good teams, Missouri and Tennessee. So anyway, that's what I like. That's your free play, Georgia. Free play with Denver getting 9.5, which I don't understand at all. But we take advantage when the Vegas fucks up the line. We're right there to clean it up. All right, let's go to the pros. Any questions on college? I think we've covered it. There's 6 or 7 games. We'll review it. So Miami, Ohio, Toledo. I like Toledo. Oak State, Texas. I think you got to go over. And maybe Oak State slightly if you don't want, because we got Ali Davis, the running back, whatever his last name is. The best player in college football. They're going to give him the ball. Texas will key on him at first, but we'll see what they can do. Bowman's he's not that good of a quarterback, but they got such a good running back. Boise, Vegas. I like Vegas in the over. Georgia, Alabama. Free pick Georgia. SMU, Toledo. Tulane. SMU's quarterback's out. App State, Troy. Should be a real good game. Play the dog. Play the over. Florida State, Louisville. There's no quarterback for Florida State. Travis will never play again. Now with that ankle injury. And it's a Mackenzie Milton, like the leg's going one way and the foot's going the other. So that's an under in Michigan by 30 over Iowa. Probably Michigan, probably the over. It's probably the only time you'd actually want to bet the over in an Iowa game, but it's so low, 34. Yeah, Iowa's not going to score much. That's what makes you think, well, I'll take Michigan then, because they're not shutting out Michigan. Michigan, good luck trying to stop them. So that's your night games, Michigan and Florida State there. All right, let's look at the pros. We've got San Diego 5.5, 40 against New England. We'll check injuries later. Detroit 4.5, 47. This was 45. Looking at injuries, so New Orleans this tells me Olave and the other wide receiver are playing because of the line movement. So watch the line movement. Atlanta 1.5, 33.5 to the Jets. Jets. Again, I don't know why they're starting Boyle, and I don't know why. Well, Riddler's in there because the other guy's hurt, but Pitt 6.5, 41 to Arizona. Indy 1.5, 42.5 to Tennessee without Jonathan Taylor, the running back, who's out. Miami 9.5, 49.5. Waiting to hear on Tyreek Hill and Mozart. Are they playing? They're questionable. Again, Houston 3, 47.5. Boy, this is a crazy line. Love Denver. That's your free play. Tampa Bay 5.5, 36.5 to Carolina. Carolina, the Z team. Tampa, I'm not crazy about. Terrible coach. The Niners 3, 47.5 to Philadelphia. The game of the day. Philly's got a lot of injuries, a lot of questionables. So we got to see. If they don't play, it's an easy Niner game. The Niners, backs against the wall, must win if they want the 1 seed. And when you're a team like the Niners and Philly, you're trying to get the 1 seed. Philly at 10-1, the Niners at 8-3. If the Niners lose and go 8-4, not only are they 3 games back, but they've lost to Philadelphia, so they're really 4 games back. There's not a lot to play, so look for the Niners to really come on strong tomorrow and get the win. The Rams, 3.5, 40.5 to Cleveland. I think Thompson Robinson's playing. We'll check that out. Kansas City, 642.5 to Green Bay. KC got a lot of their receivers back. Aaron Jones is out for Green Bay, I believe. So I think KC's got him here. And then Jacksonville, 8.5, 38.5. What do you do with Cincinnati without Burrow, Browning? You want to start betting on Browning? Really? So let's go to one other place, which I like is I found this Roto Wire, which is really good. It goes right into here's your lineup and here's your inactive. So I don't know that the injury status is 100%, but let's look at it. Denver, Houston. Denver's fine. Jerry Jeudy's now playing. Russell Wilson, C.J. Stroud, and Tank Dell and Noah Brown, 2 receivers, are questionable still. So San Diego, Keenan Allen's questionable. Herbert against Zappe going for New England, and they don't have any other injuries. So it's just Keenan Allen. I'm sure he'll play. He always plays. He's just questionable, so he'll take the shot. He'll take the needle. Detroit, New Orleans. Detroit is healthy. Montgomery was questionable, is not. Kamara's there. Olave's still questionable, and that's the key. So they've lost Thomas, the receiver. He's out. And they have, so it's what do you do? So it really depends on Olave. If he's out, they're going to have a trouble. Then it'll be more Kamara. But if he's there, look for a higher scoring game, I think. Atlanta and the Jets. Atlanta, Riddler against Boyle. Good Lord. Atlanta's guys are pretty healthy. The Jets, Breece Hall is questionable. And then they have Wilson, Lazard, and Gibson as the receivers. So, again, it's Riddler against Boyle. Good luck with that one. The Arizona Pitt, we got Kyler Murray, we got M. Brown, the receiver, questionable, and McBride, the tight end, questionable. Pitt's healthy. Pickett, Harris, Johnson, Pickens, Robinson. So Pitt's good there. Indy, Tennessee, we got Minshew, we got Zach Moss in for Taylor, wide receivers, who the hell? Josh Townsend, Alec Pierce, who the fuck is that? Against Tennessee, Will Levis, Henry and Hopkins are fine. Burks, wide receivers, questionable, who cares? As long as Henry and Hopkins are there. So Miami, Washington, okay, Miami's fine. Tagovailoa is fine. Mozart, Hill, Waddle are now healthy. Howell for Washington, Brooks Robinson, McLaren, Dodson, same. So everybody's healthy there. Carolina, Tampa, everybody's healthy for Carolina. Godwin for Tampa Bay, the wide receiver is questionable, but Evans is good. Mayfield's okay, so there you have that. Cleveland and the Rams, everybody's healthy. It is Joe Flacco. So DTR is not ready. Joe Flacco hasn't played in, 2-3 years. Wasn't any good when he played. Murray Cooper's fine. Ford is the running back. See, what they don't do is say, oh, Thompson Robinson's out. Flacco. They just say, oh, Flacco's starting. So Thompson Robinson out. Ford's in. Hunt's out. They don't tell you that. Cooper, Elijah Moore, and Tillman. So Cleveland's really beaten up. The Rams, Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Pukanuka and Tutu are all playing. So the Rams, I think, have a big edge here. The Niners and Philly, Brock Purdy, McCaffrey, Samuel Ayuk, Jennings, Kittle, everybody's fine. Now Philly, Swift is fine. A.J. Brown is fine. Devontae Smith's fine, and Julio. So those guys were injured at one point. Swift, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith were all questionable. Now they're all fine. That's Goddard, the tight end's doubtful. So that's not a big deal. Now, see, this is the importance of the game. Everybody's limping around now, like playing. KC, Green Bay, KC's 100%, although this is their problem. Here's the receivers, Rashi Rice, Jay Watson, and Sky Moore, and you wonder why they can't score. All he's got's Kelsey. Green Bay, Jordan Love. Dillon's in for Jones. Watson, okay. Romeo Dobbs and Jaden Reed, Michigan State, questionable. And then Cincinnati, Jacksonville, Browning, Mixon, Chase, Higgins, everybody's healthy. Lawrence, Etney, the running back's questionable, but I'm sure they got others. Ridley, Kirk, and Jones. So pretty healthy there. So the only surprise is Joe Flacco is in we got Joe Flacco in. So I'm going to post some pros now that I've got some better injury news. I was waiting on Philly. I was waiting on Miami. Now we can start posting. I did play Dallas -2.5 and got the win Thursday with the game on Sunday, of course. College, my picks are in. I might add one. Now that with this Georgia injuries, I might go under. I have played Georgia, but again, I'm basing it just solely on how Auburn ran it down their throats last week. And Georgia runs a whole lot better than Auburn. So if Auburn's running it down Alabama's throats, Georgia will run it down Alabama's throats, therefore neutralizing the fact if their receivers are hurt. They'll see that. They'll take advantage. You got to like Georgia. They won 2 titles, beat Alabama the first time. Last year, they beat TCU and Ohio State. This is their playoff game. This is what it should be, right? This should be the elimination round, right? So Washington eliminated Oregon. They're gone. Georgia, Alabama. The losers should be out. So if Georgia beats Alabama, Alabama will be out with 2 losses. If Alabama wins, now we got problems because you're not taking Georgia out of the mix. Texas, Oak State. If Oak State wins, they should go to the playoff. This is what I don't understand. What's the point of the game? It can only hurt Texas if they lose. If Oak State wins, they don't get a reward. What's the point? Then these other ones, why doesn't Troy make the playoff if they win, or App State? And where's Tulane, SMU? Why don't they get in? They can just as easily beat these guys. Don't give me that shit. Michigan, Iowa, what's the point of the game? Iowa wins. They're going to the playoff with 2 or 3 losses? I don't think so. Michigan still goes to the playoff. Or maybe Ohio State, but Michigan beat Ohio State. That's when it gets tricky, but you lost to Iowa, so how good can you be? So I think you're going to see the playoff of Georgia, and it's Georgia and Washington and Michigan, and then the 4th team is going to be a real mind fuck, especially if Florida State wins and Texas wins. What do? You got 5 teams, plus Oregon still deserves to go in. I'm literally shocked Oregon lost. As good as they were playing and as weak as Washington was playing, now we know it's a matchup problem for Oregon because they got way down and came back, took the lead, and then Washington kept scoring. So I don't know, not enough pressure, or they have a weakness in the secondary that Washington figured out and went after somebody. But we're going to have a big problem if Texas wins and Florida State. Let's see how Florida State looks. I don't think they'll win today. Louisville's a damn good team with a damn good defense. So you got 2 very strong defenses going at each other. And the problem is you're going to see Jordan Travis out and you're going to go, well, how the fuck can we put Florida State in the playoff? And yet, if they win today, they're undefeated, should be in. Washington's undefeated, they'll be in. Georgia, no matter what, should be in. And then do you add Alabama? You got Michigan there, undefeated. So you got Michigan. If Michigan wins, which they will, and Washington's in, and then Florida State wins, you got 3 undefeated teams. And then if Georgia wins, you got 4 undefeated teams. It's case closed. That's the whole point of it. How do you look at the Travis injury? That's really the key to figuring out. It's really like, do you start looking at, well, wait, Brock Bowers has a sprained ankle. Is Georgia in? And Michigan, oh, what if they lose? What if they lose their quarterback today? Are they still in? I mean, do you look at the injuries to determine if a team should make the playoffs or not? I don't think you should. The team goes 13-0. That's how you've arranged the playoffs. So Michigan will win today and get in. The key is Florida State. I don't think they can beat Louisville without Travis. Again, we don't know what the backup quarterback looks like. He looked, against Florida, who's got a weak defense, but at least he played a game. I think he's okay. I think when a guy gets injured and you know he's injured, now they've had 2 weeks to work with the backup, I think he'll be okay. But the skill set is not there. This is not, I hate this next man up bullshit. It is not next man up. You listen to me, you want to listen to another guy talk about Austrian economics and you think it's going to be the same? If you can find another Austrian economics expert, it's not. You can't say that, and that's, maybe with the guards. But what do I hear? Like the Lions are crying, "Oh, our guards are out. Oh, he's out. He's out." Well, what happened to the next man up? Because there's a huge skill set difference, and don't forget that it's not very easy for the players to, the next guy is not as good. That's why the first guy is the starter and the next guy is the backup. Now, maybe you get times where Cam Rising is the backup at Utah. The guy gets hurt and here comes Cam Rising. He's a superstar. How the fuck you didn't know that in practice is beyond me. Or Van Dyke at Miami. You had De'Ara King in for the first 3 or 4 games. And you couldn't get 10 points. And then Van Dyke comes in, he puts up 45 points a game. And you're like, how did you not know Van Dyke was good? I mean, this is where I have trouble with the coaches being idiots. Once in a while you get the backup is better, but the backup's not better than Travis at Florida State. So that'd be an interesting game. We will see. But, Anyway, my college is all posted. I think I'm going to add one more. And then the pros, I'm going to post. I posted a couple, but now I can have fun posting more now that I know what the hell's going on. Definitely. So that's where we're at with that. Good luck today. Any questions, comments on college football? So I gave you where the games are at and who and the scenario of the games, which is important. So now there's two videos from yesterday. I have not listened to them. You've got Mark McGuire 2024 gold revaluation coordination or weaponized. I don't know what he's talking about. Egon, gold hits all-time high. Watch and find out why. Well, we already know why, because of inflation. And there's no money to really go to, so your only option is to get out of dollars and into gold. So switching to economics now. If you have football questions, please ask. But I pretty much went through them yesterday and today, and we've seen the injuries. So Georgia is the only, McConkey and Bowers. How injured are they? They both sat out last week, and they still easily beat Georgia Tech. So the same thing here with all the injuries. So Alex, don't be careful. You want to bet over on the game. I don't know without the receivers. I think it turns more into a running game because that's what he's got. And I'm not sure Alabama's going to light up Georgia's defense. Georgia does have Georgia's got the 16 defense and Alabama with the 18. So I'm not sure it's an overplay. So I will watch these two later and then report back, I guess, tomorrow or Monday. If there's any keys, Mark McGuire, we just, Egon's going to say the same thing as he's been saying. So it makes it a little bit, what the fuck is he saying? He's going to say, well, the dollar's going out and gold will go up because the dollar's going out. So it should be pretty much the same. Let's see what gold prices ended up at. I think they were pretty high. Paper gold, that is. So as of last night, gold got all the way to 2072 and silver's 2547. Gold went up $32 yesterday. It didn't have the 10 o'clock drop, which is very unusual. It did drop at 5 in the morning, U.S. time, until 9:30, and then the 10 o'clock dropped. It was not a 10 o'clock drop, and it went up at 10 and then kept going up. So 2074, so it ended at 2072, up 32, and it'll just keep going and going because the shorts are getting killed and getting out of the game. Silver 2547 is a joke. It should be at least $1,000 by now. Anyway. All right, so we'll watch those two videos later, but basically, if you understand inflation is printing the money and not prices, prices are the effect because you've made the dollar worth less, and if you made the dollar worth less, you need more dollars to buy the same thing. In other words, if this is $50 and then you inflate the money, now the money is not worth 50 anymore. The money's only worth 30, but you still think it's worth 50. Well, they still want 50 for this. So now they're saying, okay, they printed the money. So the $50 value, let's say a $50 bill is now worth $30. So we still want the $50 bill for the whiskey. So we're going to charge you $70 for it. And that's where they think prices dictate inflation, and prices don't dictate inflation, because if they can't sell it for 70, even though they're only really getting $30 for the bottle, the public doesn't just have a money tree and can just simply print more money. It doesn't work like that. I only have a limited amount of money, and this is what I get and this is what I owe. And so if my expenses go up, what am I supposed to do? So I can't really, if my money goes up, if the prices go up, my money doesn't go up and my money is worth less. So it's going to cost me more to buy things. So that's inflation. And it's the money being printed, but they won't tell you that because they're the ones printing the money, and they'll look like idiots if they admit it's their fault that they print it. And the government's so weak and so corrupt, all the governments in the world, but mostly the US, very corrupt, run by the banks. Don't fool yourself. The banks run the government because they have the money, and the government does, the lobbyists, they do what the money says. So if I give you $1 million, Joe Blow, Congressman, this is what I want done. So don't ever think the government's in control. It isn't. So you're printing money. So your $50 bill now buys you less and less and less, but you don't know that. You think if you have $100 bill in your hand, it's still worth 100, and it's not. It's worth right now. If $1 is worth 1 cent, $100 is worth what? $10. It's what you can buy with the dollars, with the little paper with presidents and number. Yeah, here's $1. It's got a president and it's got a number on it. So this is what it's worth. It's not worth anything. So Egon's going to tell you what's going on with gold. It's simply the banks know what they're doing because they're the ones doing it, and the value is getting out of control. It's all losing value. So what you do is you go to something that can't be inflated. In other words, I can print dollars and print and print and print, and as I do, they're worth less and less and less. However, the Keynesian economists, I'm an Austrian economist, there's two, there's Austrian and Keynesian, believe you can just keep printing and there's no problem to the value. Austrians go, yes, there is. If you print it, they're worth less and less and less until you eventually make it worth zero, which is what's always happened. Happened to Rome, and happened to England, it happened to Spain. Every country in the world who had gold and got out of gold and went to paper, it went to zero. It collapses because there is no value in it. And as you print more, their idea is, well, I'll just keep printing, right? Oh, the U.S. debt. Well, you know what? Nobody wants our T-bills, as I showed you last time. So we'll just keep printing more money. Well, the money's worthless. You can't keep printing. Does not help you. It hurts you. It makes the value less and less and less. That's how we've gotten to 1 cent, right? Why is this 1 cent? Because you've printed the shit out of it. There's 10, 20 trillion dollars. There's 70, 80 trillion dollars overseas. You've printed a lot of money. You've inflated it. You fucked the value of it. It's not worth anything. So the out, and this is what the banks know, is to get into something that you can't inflate. You can't print. And the only thing that you can is gold and silver. You cannot print it. You can't copy it. It comes out of the ground. They mine it. They make little coins out of it. And that's it. And you can't print the coin. So if you have gold, you're not worried they're going to print more of it and it'll be worth zero. You're not worried about that. So all the central banks are buying gold and silver because they know, well, my dollar is being printed to zero, but you can't do that to gold. And that's why gold's gold. That's why you run into gold. You can't inflate it, right? So all the central banks are buying it. Russia and China have 100,000 tons together, 40 for Russia, 60 for China, approximately. And it's not the central bank. It's the government. It's the banks, not necessarily the central bank. So when you hear Reichert, who's a communist, who is a lawyer who works for the government, telling you, oh, Russia's got 2,000 tons and China's got 3,000 tons and we got 8,000 tons, he's full of shit. We don't have anything. We've sold it all. China and Russia have 60,000 and 40,000, as I said, but he's counting central bank gold. Well, Russia and China are smart enough not to leave it in the central bank. They put it in their own little banks, and Putin's got it in the swimming pool and in his basement, and Xi has it in his little pool and basement, hidden and locked away. It's like Egon. He puts it in a mountain that you can have a nuclear bomb and it wouldn't affect it. It's buried 10 miles deep in a mountain. Do you think that's all counted? So that's the key to it. You can't inflate it. And everybody recognizes it money. It's always got a value. I could go right now to the coin store, take an ounce, and get $2,100 for it, or approximately. So I could do that right now and have no problem getting cash at a thing. Problem is I don't really want cash. That's what I'm struggling, is keeping the cash, keeping enough cash so I don't have to sell my gold at these low prices. Once the prices go up, then I'll probably maybe sell an ounce or two. So the central banks are sitting. So what Egon's story is, well, they're ruining the dollar, and it'll always be going to gold. And that's what he always says. It's the same story every time. Although he does not understand, he doesn't understand inflation very well. He thinks it's the prices, and it's not. These guys, these stockbroker type of guys, Egon, Alligator, they're more stockbrokers than anything. I don't know, maybe Egon's a little bit more of an economist, but they don't really get inflation. Everybody thinks it's prices going up, no, it's the printing of the money. You print more money, you've inflated it, it's not worth as much. That's all it is. It's like eating cake every day and you gain weight. Well, you've eaten cake, that's why you've gained the weight. You go, oh, well, why am I gaining weight? So why is the dollar losing value? Because you keep printing it. So that's the problem. It's got nothing to do with prices. Prices are the effect of it. Hey, profit. Prices are the effect of it. However, prices aren't, the inflation themselves is not the price. So if this goes, so I'm selling this for 50, and then the 50 is only worth $30. So I want to still get 50, so I raise the price. But that's not the inflation. This price is not the inflation or the deflation or the price going down. Doesn't mean inflation's getting better. It's the effect of I still want $50 and the dollar's not worth as much, but it's the dollar being printed is the inflation. You're inflating the money supply. Basically, that's why they call it inflation. You printed it. And the more you print, the less it keeps losing value. But gold, you can't do that with. Gold, you cannot inflate, and it will never lose its value. And now what Alligator and Mark McGuire say, well, it's not gold going up, it's the money going down. But I'd still like to, it's to a point that's correct, because it takes more dollars to buy the gold. But because the gold's been suppressed, this is the problem they have. They can't answer this question. Because gold's been suppressed, it's going to go to its real physical price. So what the governments and the banks are doing, the JP Morgans, the London LBMAs, what they're doing is they're coming up with a way to inflate gold to keep the price down by doing derivatives and paper. But that's not inflating the physical gold, that's inflating these derivatives. And so people are so stupid, they're looking at that as the price of gold instead of realizing, well, you can't inflate, you can inflate the paper, you can't print more coins. And this is where the disconnect is. So everybody thinks gold doesn't have a value because they're trying to inflate the supply of gold with paper. Well, that's apples to oranges. That's not really what's happening. What's happening is you can't inflate the gold coins. So when they ask the question, this is the problem that Egon and Alligator have, is they don't realize the question, when does it get to a physical price and get out of this paper price, because it's trying to inflate the gold that is not being inflated, so it doesn't lose its price, and it's way undervalued. So the real question is, what is the real value, the physical value of gold? These guys, it's over their heads. They can't understand it. I'm telling you 50,000 because you can inflate it, and it's been suppressed with the paper trying to make it look like it's being inflated. Oh, there's more supply of gold, and there isn't. So the price drops because there's more supply, but that's not gold. That's just paper. That's the derivatives. The physical gold cannot be inflated, and therefore it's worth a whole lot more. And especially if the theory is, well, when you print the money and it's now worth, this is $50, but I'm only getting $30. Even if I get a $50 bill, I'm only getting 30. So if you carry that to gold, the dollar is losing value, so the gold should be much, much higher. And that's where I get 50,000, and it's very conservative. Because once you blow up COVID, which is what the BRICS countries are doing, which is what we haven't had Russia and China say, fuck it, we're coming out with gold. The sanctions hit Russia, which I don't know if it was U.S. sanctioning them or Russia sanctioning themselves so they can do the gold, because now the U.S. can't, they went to war with Russia and got their ass kicked. That's what this whole Ukraine thing is, to stop the gold. But now China's saying, yeah, we want gold price to go up. They're blowing up this paper derivative shit. And they're going, this is the physical price. So we want it to be a free market, just like this is a free market, right? Mahomes card, there's 50 of them. Why is it 50? So you can't inflate it. So you can only have 50, where this is inflated because they have 2 million of these. So that's why this doesn't have a value. You've inflated the supply of Reggie Jackson cards. However, you can only make 50 of these cards. So therefore you keep the inflation out of it. You can't inflate it. Therefore, the value would go up, because the demand, it's all based on the demand. Is there more than 50 people that want a Mahomes card? Of course. So that's what the value is. Profit. I'd like to know when you're going to break open that bottle. I'm never breaking open that bottle. I'm never getting rid of this. Is my master's present. So I got my master's in finance and in economics from a business school in 1995, and I bought this for $500. This 1 ounce of gold, 18 karat gold, and I'm never taking it off. And I never do. And then this, I worked there 1997. From 95 to 97, I worked at Canadian Club. And this is just a gift I got myself for like Christmas. You had to spend $250. So this will never be open. If I want Canadian Club, I can just go to the Myers and get a regular Canadian Club bottle. But this is 12-year-old in 1997. So let's add 07, 17. So it's 26 years. So this is 38-year-old. Believe me, there can't be 5 bottles of this around, because people would have drunk it, and it's 12-year-old in 1997. So you don't see 12-year-old now, I don't think. Maybe they make it in Canada, but if you get a chance, go to the distillery in Windsor. It's a really cool place. They show you how they make it, and then the bottles and the labels, it's all automated by robots. It's really cool. But I won't, I'll never open it. No, again, if I want to drink, I'll just get a regular Canadian Club. But I will ask for Canadian Clubs. If I go to drinking, it's a wedding or, New Year's or Christmas, and I'm at the casino, I'll ask for a Canadian Club and Coke or water or whatever. You're actually supposed to put water. You're supposed to put 2 ice cubes in whiskey or scotch. Scotch is Scotch whiskey. Bourbon is Kentucky whiskey. It's all whiskey. It's just these different names. And you're supposed to put 2 ice cubes in it. And then the water melts in, and it makes it taste better, because it's strong motherfucking stuff to drink whiskey straight. So, but you don't want to ruin it with Coke or something. So it's supposed to be with 2 ice cubes, and let the ice cubes melt in, and then that's how you drink all that stuff. I've been to the Seagram's distillery. That's Canada too, I think, isn't it? Or I'm not sure. There's one in Amsterdam. There's I can't think of, I want to say Lowenbrow or something. I haven't been to that one. I did go to the Hiram Walker one because I was working there. Very interesting. I went to a winery in San Diego. There was the same thing. They take grapes and they distill it. So basically they're taking all this, they mush it down, they put it in a tub cooler type of thing for 5-6 months and let it ferment, and that's where you get the taste and all the sugar. That's why it's so sweet. Whiskey's made with like potatoes and stuff like that, and they perfect. There's actually tasters. So if, let's say I was an accountant there, I could sign up to be a taster, but I wasn't at the plant. I was in Detroit working at the sales office, but there was actually a plant. So if you're an accountant at the plant, you could be a taster and taste the Canadian Club. So I imagine they had, they tasted probably more than they should have. Montreal, but they moved a couple of years ago. Oh, Seagram's Montreal. Yeah, I had relatives. My mom's from Toronto, so her brother was working as an engineer in Montreal, and then her other siblings were in Toronto, so we would go there a lot. Okay, so Seagram's is in Montreal. Okay, yeah. No, I like Canada. I wouldn't buy a house there like our friend, but yeah, it's a nice place. It was always nice and clean, and you didn't have crime until they went so socialist. Now, I don't know what it is. I haven't been there in a while because it's hard to cross the borders. Like, takes like an hour to cross the border. When I was working there, it'd take you 5 minutes. You get to the border. Yep, I'm U.S. There's my passport or whatever. Where you going? I'm going to Hiram Marker. Have a nice day. It's insane. Stevens got big during Prohibition. Al Capone was buying all their whiskey. Well, this is the problem with the government doing Prohibition stuff. If the other places still make the whiskey, it doesn't work. It only works if nobody makes whiskey. But why would the other countries not make whiskey? They make money on it. So the U.S. can't go to Canada. You can't make whiskey. And then that's where you get your Al Capones and your Don Corleones and Barzini and the other 5 families. That's where they can go, wow. So let's take an economic look at the Prohibition. Demand high, supply out, price goes up. Hey, if we can get whiskey in, we've got a market for it, and we got demand for it. So that's what you made crooked by having the criminals and the mafias bring it in and sell it because there was demand for it. It's the same thing with women. I mean, the red light girls in Amsterdam or Vegas, it's the same thing. There's demand, so they do it. They can charge, and they do it. So anything, you can't really make you can't really make it illegal. And why would you? I think everything should be legal, and then you just tax it. And I don't even agree with the taxing part of it, but everything should be legal. It's all, is there a market for it? And if there's a market for girls or a market for whiskey, and somebody can fill the supply, so there's a hot girl over there and you want her and you work out the price, I don't understand what's wrong with that. That should be between the customer and the provider. That's up to them. But that's a whole different, issue. But that's what you had with the Prohibition, is there was still a market for it. Now, I'm not sure why they did it. I don't know why they did the Prohibition. I didn't get that much into why did it happen. All I can say is it was stupid and didn't work because other countries still made whiskey and rum and all that. So therefore, what do we care? I mean, if other countries are going to do it and there's going to be a supply, we know there's a demand, so we'll just do it illegally. And who wins? I mean, so what's the government doing? What's the theory of why the government, the corrupt government, would do it? Were they getting kickbacks? Did they say, "Hey, we can make more money"? It's like these wars, Ukraine and Israel. It's all by the defense contractors, so they can make money. So these guys can order, guns and planes and tanks and missiles. We just created a demand for our product. and it's highly ridiculous because you're killing people. It shouldn't be allowed. They have to have, do you need these weapons? Okay, but then it should be somebody has to regulate them from doing this. And unfortunately, you have the weakest government in the history of government running most of these countries now, and it's all corrupt. So it's really, really ridiculous. So that's really the problem. You need strong leadership. It's like football. It's like anything, baseball. If you have a weak leader, you don't win. You don't play well. Look at Denver. Last year they had Hackett. He was terrible. They bring in Sean Payton. They're 100 times better. And then Hackett goes to the Jets, and now they suck. Only Aaron Rodgers can figure out the plays, or all the plays are unfair Aaron Rodgers, but he's at such a high level that Zach Wilson and whoever else and Boyle, they can't run the plays the same way. Hey, Jay, how are you today? They can't run the plays the same way. So his now, surprised Russell Wilson couldn't figure out his offense, but this is the problem. So he's a bad coach. Why is he coaching? So it's not everybody's equal. It's not next man up. It's different skill sets, and that's what you got to understand. But anyway, so with what Egon's going to say is basically they're printing the dollars. They're worthless. The central banks are buying gold, and the price is suppressed because they're taking the inflated paper price instead of the non-inflated coin physical price. And so what we're hoping and waiting for is the physical price to come out. It's over their heads. They can't think like this, and they can't figure it out. That's really what's happening. And they do say paper price, but they really don't understand it's because they can't inflate the physical price. And my question to them is, why are we even looking at the paper price? It's clearly not the physical price. Why isn't there a physical price of gold? Why is it kept down? Why is it suppressed? Why is there a paper price that they can keep the price down? And I know the answer is so you don't, because this can't compete with it. And the powers to be want to keep printing and printing and printing because they don't understand if they keep printing, it goes to zero. They don't understand that concept because they're Keynesians. This is why Keynesians are bad, because they're communists and they think, oh, we'll just keep printing. And they ruin the dollar, which takes us to the Madoff Ponzi scheme here, where we're all getting fucked holding dollars. You got 200 grand in the bank. You go, oh, I'm sad. I can retire. I'll be fine. And then you realize, yeah, but it's not worth 200 grand anymore. 200 grand's worth 100 grand. And that's really the problem. So you got to get into gold and silver, but people don't understand it. Like Greg and John's brother and sister don't understand what's really going on. And they think, oh, you're crazy for buying gold, because they don't understand it's all the papers being inflated because they don't know what inflation is. And this is why you can't say that to these people. You have to explain it to these people if they can get it. It's so far over their heads that most people can't understand the dollars, but what the inflation really is, and that the dollar really has no value. Nobody can really understand it or wants to understand it, because if they realize their 200 grand's worthless and they need to buy gold now, they won't do it. They'll be too upset. So they don't even want to hear that their money's worthless. That's really the problem. Even though you're trying to say, if you buy gold, you're fine, because then you've switched your money from paper to gold, and the gold's about to go through the roof because it's been in the paper price is inflated, but the physical can't be inflated. That's why they say zero party risk. I don't know what that means, but it's really basically they can't print it, so there's no risk in the portfolio with gold. But you have huge risk in dollars, and nobody really understands that. So that's what I'm teaching, and that's why I talk Titanic. Is the inflation's here, that's the iceberg, and the boats hit the inflation, so the money's been inflated, and now it's going to drop, and the value of the dollar's going to zero. Is the boat sinking? And then the only way to save yourself is to get off the boat and be on the gold boat. That the gold boat can't sink. There's no risk to it. So that's really the whole Titanic thing in a nutshell, that I'm thinking, well, if I can teach it like that, you'll get it. Prophet, just a quick football question here. Do you think Bama has any chance of upsetting Georgia? No, I don't. I know there's a few injuries to the offense, but the problem is they couldn't stop Auburn's running. How are they going to stop Georgia running it down their throat? And the Georgia defense is a whole lot better than the Auburn defense. So if I'm looking at the Auburn game, they're not going to push off and get the no offensive pass interference call today. But after Washington beating Oregon, they could win. But the better defense is Georgia. The better running game, which seems to be Alabama's weakness, is Georgia. The pressure will come, and Milrose is not going to be able to run all over the place. So, could it happen? It could if there's turnovers. So if Georgia throws 2 pick sixes and fumbles the ball 3 times, yeah, Alabama's going to win. But I don't think that's going to happen. But that's how it happens, is the turnovers or stuff like that. Absolutely not. Well, there you go, G. Hey, Washington pulled the big upset last night over Oregon. I understand that. And how did they do it? I didn't see. Was there turnovers? I don't think it's a big upset. Washington was undefeated and had already beaten Oregon. Georgia's on a whole different plane than Oregon, but like I said, anything can happen. Was it turnovers or was it Penix? I saw Oregon with 3 points in the first half, or not a lot. Was there turnovers? Did they keep going on 4th down like this coach is an idiot does? So again, it's all turnovers. That's how you get upsets. Could Cincinnati beat Jacksonville without Burrow? It could happen if Trevor Lawrence throws 3 interceptions and Cincinnati wins with the defense and Jacksonville goes on 4th down and doesn't make it. It could happen. Probably won't. Seattle couldn't beat Dallas, but they were winning, but Dallas at the end came through. So, yeah, I mean, New England could beat San Diego because San Diego's coach is so bad. But what you got here is Georgia knows Alabama because Kirby Smart was the defensive coordinator. He knows how to beat their defense, and they beat them last time really good. The weakness to Alabama's running, so watch Georgia running the ball down their throat. And then when you bet defensive teams, you don't have this same worry about turnovers because the defense can't turn the ball over, but they can force turnovers. So, yes, can Alabama win? Absolutely, they could, but very unlikely because the weak point of Alabama was exposed by Auburn last week, running the ball down their throat, and Georgia is more than capable of running the ball down their throat, and then their defense will be all over Milrose. So when he does his little scrambles, he's going to get greeted by 3 Georgia guys, more than likely if they didn't change. So they'll be all over him. Georgia's got some injuries to their Brock Bowers, and some receivers with ankle injuries are questionable, not out, not doubtful. They're hurting, but they'll tape it up and do what they can to play. I would think they'd take the needle, and I think they'd be out there for a little bit. And maybe Brock Bowers, you play in key situations. It's 3rd down and 6 at the goal line. We'll get Brock Bowers out there, and he can go a play or 2. So we'll see. But I think what ends up happening is this becomes a lower scoring game because Georgia, if these receivers can't play, and this was all based on 1 day ago, they're out. Let's check the line now. Now the game is not right now. The game is at, I think this is a 4:00 game. So we got Texas at noon with Toledo. And then Boise, Vegas is at 3. SMU's at 4. Georgia's at 4. Spread is 4.5 and 54.5. So the number hasn't changed. Yeah, 4.5. There is 1.5 at DraftKings. And then the total 54s. Yeah, see, there's some 54s, some 54.5s. So at this point, we still don't know. I would think we'll see how low it goes. But yeah, I mean, if you can't throw as much, they're going to run more. But they need the receive. They have plenty of receivers. Don't kid yourself. They'll run 5 receivers in. So a couple of them are hurt. McConkey will play, but look at the Super Bowl when Terrell Owens was on Philadelphia against New England, and he had a broken foot with a screw in it, and he played the whole game. So, I'm sure they'll play, even if Brock Bowers is a decoy. You've got to cover him. You can't leave him wide open. So if he's at 80%, again, he's questionable. He didn't practice Thursday, but he's not out. He's not doubtful. He can obviously walk, but he's in some pain. But now it's Saturday. Maybe it's gone. Maybe they take the needle and they don't feel anything. So we will see. But yeah, there you go. Bo Nix threw some picks. That's how the upset happened. See, it's a big game, but Georgia will run the ball, so that kind of takes the picks away. If anybody throws the picks today, it's going to be Milrose for Alabama, like he did against Texas. He threw 3 picks. Georgia will pressure him, at least they should, and then it's going to lead to interceptions. He's going to try to run around, and Georgia will be right there. So I don't think sack him 5 times and pressure him, and I think he throws the interceptions. I'm not sure Georgia can just as easily hand it off and run for 10 yards with their backs against apparently a weak Alabama run defense. So that's right there. But yeah, it's always the turnovers that happen. So that's how you get upsets. See, that's why when I'd rather bet defense than quarterback. Because if I bet quarterback, you get a Bo Nix, he throws 3 picks. Joe Namath threw a bunch of picks. But if you bet the defense, then they're going to get the turnovers. We're betting Georgia's defense today. That's what we're betting, and their running game. The quarterback's okay. Yeah, Brock Bowers, I wish was 100%, but he's not. But okay, he's going to play, I'm sure. All the questionables play. And that's what you have. So basically, can Alabama win? Sure, but is Alabama really that good? I mean, they had an offensive pass interference call that wasn't called to beat Auburn. You're losing to fucking Auburn 24-20 with 5 seconds left in the game when New Mexico State beat Auburn 31-7. Something doesn't smell right there. I like New Mexico State, but I'm shocked they beat Auburn 31-7, even more so. And then they lost last night 49-35 to Liberty, who's a very explosive team also. But yeah, I mean, Georgia, we'll see. They should win. Obviously, I didn't know Bowers. He didn't show the injury till like Thursday, which I was like, fuck, why didn't, because I'm looking at injuries before I make the picks and I don't see it. I go, okay, he's good. Except for Travis, I know is out. So again, that's can they win? Yeah. Do you want to bet on them? Go ahead. I know you wanted to bet Washington yesterday. I don't know if I talked you out of it or not, but my bet was under in the game. I had, I thought 66.5 was way too much. Joe admitted he threw picks because he was betting on the other team on more than one occasion. I don't know if he did that. He didn't need to bet on the other teams. That's the funny thing about like Pete Rose. He always bet on Cincinnati, and Paul Hornung always bet on Green Bay. He was just going, we're going to kill the team, and he made a bet on it. But he bet on Green Bay. I think the problem with gambling is when you bet on the other team and then you don't try. That's the problem. That's why I don't understand all this DraftKings and MGM bullshit associated with football and basketball. It's ridiculous. You're putting casinos. It's okay. Go to DraftKings, go to BetMGM with football, and then you're wondering if it's fixed. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's ridiculous. But anyway. We will see, but I got a boatload of plays going today, and then tomorrow I'm going to add. Now that I see my injuries, Phillies players look like they're okay. Miami's players look like they're okay. So now I can make my bets accordingly. I'm waiting on Olavi at New Orleans. I like New Orleans, but Olavi's got to play. He's questionable. See, in the NFL, they'll take the shot. Football's different. It's once a week, so you want to play. You don't want to miss the game. Baseball's every day, so if you miss a few days, you're not really worried. But football, it's once a week, and you really don't want your replacement out there, and then he shows he looks good, and you're like, I lost my job and I lost my money. So these guys are really much more apt to play hurt if they can. And football guys are a different breed. They like the pain. They like being hurt. It just you understand it's that type of game. You're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hurt, and you agree to play it. So there's a screw loose anyway. So these guys are, like Herschel Walker. He liked getting hit. He liked hitting people, and it was his outlet. And that's what you have here. Is these guys. That's why when they hurt their ankles and stuff and it's pain, they don't care. They're like, hey, we like it. And they're not. That's why they will probably play. They'll be in a little pain. And they go, so what? Look at Aaron Rodgers. He's got the Achilles. He's already practicing. He's going to come back. They got to get rid of Boyle. And I don't think he'll play Sunday, but I think he'll play in a week or two. But he wants to make sure the Jets are still in contention, which they are, at least for a wild card team. So he wants to play. He realizes how good the defense is, and he realizes he can save the team, the savior of Rome, Aaron Rodgers. So he realizes that. So he wants to get out there. So again, it's pain, but he says, well, what's the difference? I'm 39. What's going to happen? I'm going to hurt it again. Big deal. It's hurt, and he doesn't want another year to go by. And then he's 40, and so he's going to try to save it, and it'll be a big boost because if he's out there, the Jets will win the rest of their games. Anyway, so we talked again, Egon and Mark McGuire with the Again, they don't understand inflation. They think it's prices. It's not. They think inflation's down. It's not. It's the printing of the. Once you've inflated the money, you've inflated it. There's no like magic formula for inflation because you printed the money and it's printed. It's already out there. It's already lost value. You can't all of a sudden make it worth more value. How can you do that? Well, the only real way you can do it is to back it by gold. And then it's really not the money that has the value, it's the gold. So the only way out of the whole world being fucked by printing too much dollars is to everybody go on gold. And that's what Russia and China are doing, and BRICS. It's also what I believe Europe's doing. The people with the euro, all those countries, I believe, are going to a gold standard also. So they realize the only out's backing their money by gold. Problem in the U.S., we don't have any gold. Well, unless we've been buying it at these low prices also, and we can come out with the gold-backed currency. But again, all the criminals and the mafia who run the country don't really want. They like printing the money, but again, they don't understand, I guess, that if you're going to print it, it's not going to have any value. What's the point? So all your money that you've printed, Mr. Mafia guy, you got $10 billion sitting there. Well, if it's worth zero, you got nothing. So I don't know that they can't figure that out, or they're just too stupid or what, but or they bought gold with it. Maybe that's what they've done, but there's no, as far as I know, the Fed has no gold, and we can't do gold backed currency if we don't have gold to back it. So the theory is you got $100 gold bill and you want the gold for it. You go to the banks and give me my $100 of gold. They're supposed to have it. Well, if we don't have any gold, you go there and they don't have it, it's really not gold backed currency. Now in Russia and China, if you go, they're going to give you gold for it because they have the gold for it. So really, that's the whole thing is we don't have it. That's why we might need to move to Europe or China or one of these countries because of we need a solid currency. Otherwise, we're totally fucked, right? So that's what it is. So they can't inflate gold. That's why there's no risk. They can inflate paper gold. That's why you ignore the price. The price isn't real. It's paper. It's an inflated paper price, not a real physical price. And again, why there isn't a physical, it's because the people don't want competition with the dollar. That's why there's no physical price, because then this cannot compete with gold. Gold you can't print. So you can't inflate it, so the price just goes up and up and up. And that's why I tell you to buy it, because you can't. If you have a trouble telling it to your family, just explain it the way I just did. Have them watch the video. Explain the Titanic theory. I mean, it's all right there. Profit. And in Henry Hill's book, Wise Guy, Henry claims he was good friends with Namath, and Namath told Hill that Super Bowl III was rigged for the Jets to win, and Hill made a fortune on it. Yeah, I've heard that. Well, Carol Rosenblum, the owner of the Colts, bet like $1 million on the Jets also. Really, Earl Morrall was the guy who fixed it, as you could see by his 5 interceptions in the first half. It wasn't a joke. Don Shula, I don't think was in on it, but didn't catch it. It's sort of like 8 Men Out when they kept that movie, when they kept the Black Sox throwing the World Series, and you would see the pitcher just hit people and not do it. And the manager, why he's even pitching the guy, I don't know, or give him, okay, you get 2 batters, and if you don't get them out, you're out. Because I know, I mean, we know when a game's fixed. We can see it. It's very clear. Michael Jordan used to fix games. There was a play with Michael Jordan. He's driving the lane. There's nobody around him. He switches hands to do a layup, and he throws the ball back out. What is that about, right? Why didn't you just dunk the ball? There's nobody there. There's a lot of cases, because you're dealing with money, that's what happens. But this was so the leagues would merge, because Green Bay killed KC and Oakland, and if Baltimore would have killed the Jets, then you couldn't really do the merger, because the NFL was so much stronger than the AFL. It wasn't competitive. So you had to make it a competitive league, and you could clearly see Oakland and KC weren't competitive, and the Jets with Joe Namath could make it seem competitive. And then KC beat Minnesota. I don't know if that game was fixed also, because Minnesota was a lot better team than Kansas City. They were laying 16 points there too, I think, or 11, or Minnesota was a big favorite in the game, and they didn't show up. But I don't know that Shula was in on it. I know Earl Morrall was. I know that the owner was. So I'm not quite sure, because Rosenblum made the bet. I mean, he made a big bet on the Jets, the Baltimore owner, right? I think that's why Shula quit, because he went to Miami after that, because I think he found out it was fixed and he was disgusted by it, probably. I always got Shula to be an honorable guy, maybe, from what we can see. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people that bet the Jets and made a lot of money on it. They were 16-point favorites, and Earl Morrall couldn't see the defense did their job. They got 3-4 turnovers. Baltimore had the ball at the 10-yard line 3 times and didn't score because Morrall kept throwing terrible interceptions. And then on the play before half, that Jimmy Orr play that worked. The guy's wide open. It works every time. He's the primary target. Earl Morrall should be looking to him, and then Earl Morrall throws over the middle and gets the pass intercepted when the guy is wide open, and that's the primary player. Well, if your primary guy is wide open, that's where the pass goes. So Earl Morrall clearly fixed the game, and he should have been suspended and never played again. That's ridiculous. You can't have that. But that was so obvious. He kept throwing these stupid interceptions. And then Unitas came in, and he was all hurt, but he came in, and that's why you do the quarterback, because he can control the game. Was Oregon fixed yesterday? Bo Nix threw 3 interceptions. Maybe. You never know. You would like to think not, but Bo Nix doesn't throw interceptions. You tell me he threw 3 yesterday. I'll have to take a look at the film and see how bad the interceptions were, but I got a feeling that it wouldn't surprise me if that game was fixed. Right. So that's the thing with Georgia, Alabama. Are they going to fix it for Alabama? I don't think so, because then they want Georgia in the final, in the playoff. Like I said, you got Washington, Michigan, Florida State, Texas, and Alabama, which won't make it. If Georgia beats them, they'll have 2 losses. That's why they didn't call the offensive interference on the Alabama guy against Auburn last week at the end of the game. He clearly pushed off, and it was clearly offensive pass interference, and they didn't call it. So basically, Auburn should have won the game. It was even questionable the way the Auburn defense played, that they weren't in on the fix. I mean, it was incredibly stupid defense. Not quite sure I understand it. When you see a quarterback throw a pick early in the game, look out. It depends on the pick. It depends on what he was throwing. Where was the pick? If he throws it right to a guy, yeah. If he throws it and it's deflected, maybe. I mean, I agree with you. We'll see, but yeah, Georgia should take care of it. But look at the Alabama-Texas game. First play of the game, Milrose threw an interception, and then Texas won. So I don't know. Are all the games fixed? Maybe. Hopefully not. But it's okay. We bet them the way they come out. So if all the Georgia games are fixed, then more than likely they'll win today by 3, and we don't care because we're teasing it +1. So we will see. Greg and John TK, that Seahawks Super Bowl was bad. Lynch should have run it, and Wilson throws it. Well, I don't know that didn't look fixed to me. I think the play call was incredibly stupid, and the fact Wilson didn't check out of it didn't make a whole lot of sense. He threw it right where he should have, but the defender jumped the route, which Russell Wilson sort of caught. But yeah, Lynch should have ran the ball like he did the play before, and he gained 3 yards. But yeah, that's what happens. You make a bad play call, or you outsmart yourself. You figured what they should have ran was the Dave Casper play, where if you would have play actioned it to Lynch, and then the tight end crosses like Casper did, he'd be wide open. That's the play that should have been called and should always be called on these 3rd and 1s at the goal line. The play action pass would work every time, and yet they don't do it. They keep trying to throw these stupid go for the back pylon or go for the goalpost type of plays instead of the play action pass. I don't understand why they don't use the play action pass. It never fails. Go watch your old Oakland Raider tape, and you'll see he's wide open. Go watch the Super Bowl win over Minnesota. They're at the 1. It's a play action pass, and Casper's so open. I don't know if he was there. I think that was his first year, but it's such an easy. It's a play that works every time because you're fighting for the run. But that's what I would have ran if I was Seattle, not the stupid two-guy pass play where it's like these wide receiver screens where there's 3 wide receivers to the left, and all the defense knows the play. Oh, they're going to do a wide receiver screen. And then when you're reading the guide, it's like, oh, 4th and 1, pass completed for -3 yards, because they knew the play, what it was going to be. And that's what happened. So that's what always, they can tell by the setup of the play what the play is going to be. That. So that's why that play never works. I don't know why they do it. Do the play action pass. You can't really. You can line up in a run play that they can't read is going to be the play action pass, but you can line up 3 wide receivers and that's what's happening. Anyway, so keep in mind the inflation is strictly the printing, and you can't print gold, but what they're trying to do is print the paper gold. They're inflating that. Why people are looking at that as the price of physical gold, I don't understand. It makes no sense to me. I can't understand it. It just doesn't make any sense. But if you know what's going on, as we do, that's why you go buy gold, because it can't stay on this paper price that's being inflated. It's got to end, right? Because people will buy real gold, and then the paper gold, there's a new law that says you cannot sell paper gold unless you actually have the gold. So I can't sell 100 ounces of paper gold if I don't have the 100 ounces. So that's what's happened, and that's why it's breaking up. And then with all the demand from all the banks realizing that everybody's getting fucked by the paper, I mean, I understand it, but most of the central banks in Europe understand it now, and Russia and China understand it. So they know that it's a bullshit price. It's a paper price, not a physical. The paper's all being inflated to zero. So, they understand what's happening, and therefore it'll break up because they won't have any more gold to paper gold it to inflate the paper price of it. And then probably Russia and China will say, fuck it, we're going to make a physical price, and it'll be very high because they have the gold. So think about it. You have the gold. So I have this Mahomes card. Well, think about it. I want this card to go up in value. I have it. If I didn't have it, I'd want it to go down so I could buy it. Once I bought it, I want the card to go up. So if you think about it like that, I have the gold, right? Russia's got 35,000 tons of it. Okay, and we're ready. Let's get the price up. And the same thing with China. Okay, this 2,000 isn't going to work. We need it much higher. So we have them in our side, all the central banks in Europe and Asia, Russia, China. Now we have competition from the JP Morgan, U.S. mafia, who want to keep printing paper and don't want gold to compete with it, because they are smart enough to understand gold will compete with paper, and gold will win every time. That's like Georgia playing the Detroit Lions. Georgia's going to win every time. So they know gold, the dollar can't compete with gold. They know that. That's why they don't want a gold-backed currency, because if they do that, the dollar will go out. It'll all go to gold, and then they can't print the dollar. That's what it's all about. They like printing $1 billion and putting it in their pocket or putting it in the stock market. There's no control. They can print and print and print. Problem they don't understand is you keep printing, it goes to zero. You keep eating chocolate cake, you're going to gain weight. You're going to get diabetes, you're going to have a heart attack and die if you keep eating chocolate cake. It's as simple as that. So if you keep printing the money, it will be worthless. There's no other way around it. You can deny it, but that's the rule. You can't, the more there's a supply, the less it's worth, until you eventually make it worth zero. Gold you can't print, so therefore gold can never lose its value because you can do it. And then the difference is it's priced in dollars now, but soon it'll be not priced in dollars because there won't be a dollar to price it. Gold will then take over. So if we go back to like 1970, a dollar is worth $100 is worth $100. You'd fill your grocery cart 3 times to maybe buy $100 worth of groceries, right? Cornflakes were 50 cents for a box, let's say. And as you've been inflating now cornflakes are $5 for a box. Used to be a dime. That's where the reality sets in is why is it expensive? It's not cornflakes going up. It just the dollar has less value. And that's what keeps happening. So you go to the store, things cost more. No, the dollar's lost value. And where they can get away with raising the prices, they do. However, I was at my meat store. It's a grocery store. It's a little higher end, but it sells meat. That's all I get there. And I get the meat cheap and it's good quality. So that's why I go there. They had Pepsi, a 2-liter Pepsi for $1.99, down from $2.99. And it just shows they can't sell it, or maybe Pepsi realizes the holidays are there and they're going to lower their price. That does not mean inflation went down, which is what they try to tell you. Oh, prices are down, inflation's down. No, prices are down because the market dictates, and it is not the inflation going down. So you printed you printed $10 trillion and the value of the dollar's dropped. We know that. That's what's happened. That's what inflation is. Raising interest rates does not take away the fact you've printed $10 trillion. You still printed the $10 trillion. If prices come down from a $2.99 for a Pepsi to $1.99, does not mean inflation's down. You didn't get rid of the bills. You still printed 10 trillion of them. So in other words, you're 200 pounds and you eat cake and ice cream every day. Now you're 300 pounds. Now you have carrots. Are you not 300 pounds? Well, yeah, you're still 300 pounds. Yeah, but I'm eating carrots now, not cake and ice cream. Well, yeah, but that's why you got to fast to get the weight down. But that's the problem. So how do they fast the dollar? Well, you can stop printing them, but you've already printed 10 trillion or 20 trillion or whatever. You can't raise interest rates. What does that do? How does that affects prices because things are more costly, but that's not what the inflation is. Inflation's printing the dollar. You've inflated the supply. So raising interest rates has no effect on the dollar. Now, if everybody brings the dollar back to the bank and they burn 10 trillion of it, and now there's not 10 trillion out there. Now it's zero because we burned it all. Okay, that would make sense, but that's not what they're doing. Nobody's taking their money back to the bank because nobody trusts the banks. You can get the money out and nobody trusts that the money is going to be worth anything. So why would I put my money in the bank? So your option is to put your money in what they're doing is in the stock market. I'll be safe in Microsoft. No, you won't, because that's paper too. Their financials are based on dollars. And when when the dollar goes out, so do their financials. The stock price is in dollars. When that goes out, everything priced in dollars goes to zero. Your house will be worth $0 because it's priced in dollars. So if there's no dollars, there's no price. Then what happens is your house gets priced in gold and silver. That's what we're waiting for. And then the value of the gold and silver, a $500,000 house you buy with 2 ounces of gold really makes your gold worth $250,000 an ounce. But since there's no dollars, you don't price it that way. You have it and you can buy a house with it and you can buy a car with it is how you then value the gold and silver. It's what you can buy with it, not a dollar value, right? It's worth a lot more than a dollar value. And that's what you've got to understand. That's why I tell you to buy it now, because you ain't going to be able to buy it later. And that's why I laugh at Warren Buffett and Gates and all these guys, is because they're holding money. Look at Bill Gates. He's holding farmland. What the fuck's that going to do for him? Is he a farmer? It's got a value. It doesn't have any value. So I have gold. Am I going to buy Bill Gates farmland? No. Why would I want his farmland? Let it go milk the cows, Bill. Yeah. I mean, that's, and then so everything's going to get repriced in gold and silver. So you're going to go to the grocery store with a silver nickel or a silver dime to buy your eggs and milk and pop and chips and meat. It'll be, a silver quarter will buy you a New York strip. I mean, that's how they'll price it in silver coin. So it'll be silver nickel, silver dime, silver quarter. And so that's how you get your change. You give them a 1 ounce silver and they're going to give you back 3/4 and a dime for your milk, eggs, Coca-Cola, and, tuna fish. That's what'll happen. That's why there's no such thing as a barter system. I mean, we're kind of, even if you use gold and silver now, it's not a barter. It has value. I can go to the barbecue place, give the guy silver to pay for my $30 meal, but I'd be an idiot because silver is going to be worth far more than 30. So anyway, I keep telling Jenna, just hold on to your gold and silver. It's about to go through the roof. You'll be a rich girl soon. She's got like 2 ounces of gold and she thinks it's not worth that much. And I gave her some silver and she doesn't think, and I'm saying it's moving up. And she's like, oh, okay. Like she kind of believes me and kind of doesn't believe me. Why would gold go up? Because of the inflation factor, which how many people understand it, and the way the government talks, you'll never understand it because they're saying it's prices. Oh, look, prices have come down. The 2-liter Pepsi's now $1.99. Inflation's all done. No, you still got $10 trillion out there. How the fuck does that make the dollar worth more? And that's the problem. That's all a scam. They're telling you wrong things. They're telling you about prices that are the effect, but not the cause of the inflation. And what the inflation actually is them printing them dollars. That's the bottom line, and every country's doing it. That's why everybody's running to gold. That's why the gold price is going to go up, and that's why it's going to blow up the paper price of gold, because people are actually going to need the real McCoy because the dollar's worthless everywhere. The ruble, the yuan, the yen, all the euros, the Swiss franc, it's all worthless. So if you have money, you get it into gold now, and the demand for gold will break the COMEX because they won't have any, because as soon as they try to sell it at 2,100, everybody buys it up because it's like buying a car now for $100, right? So Toyota has Camry for $100, and in the world they're trying to do with gold, right? You buy for $100, of course everybody's going to buy it, but that's not the real price. That's the paper price. They're doing derivatives on Toyota Camrys. The price is $100, but it only works until you run out of Camrys. $100. Well, there's no more Camrys. So the $100 is no good. And then the physical price, you go to the dealer, is now $20,000 or whatever. And that's basically what's happening is there's not going to be any more gold. And with the rules, they can't do a derivative. They don't have physical, which they won't have. And everybody's eating up the Camry at $100, right? Oh, there's no more. Now it's really 20,000. Well, that's what's going to happen with gold. Profit. Throughout history, gold and silver have always been the most valuable commodities because you can inflate them, and there's a strong demand for them. So I don't have my book. There's 5 things of money, and it's got to be. Man, let me get it. I don't want to misspeak. So what money is the medium of exchange. It's a commodity, usually coins. It's 2 values. It's use and exchange. So you're getting money to go to the grocery store to pay your rent, pay your bills, go on a vacation, buy clothes. Species gold or silver is actual currency, gold coins. Here you would deposit with the goldsmith instead of a bank, and it's a money substitute. A money substitute must have these characteristics. No, those are types of money. Hold on. All my sheets came out. I always had this in the beginning. All right, hold on. I have a real simple, what is money, but I want to make sure I give you the right. Where the fuck is it? Okay, that's weird. Where is it? Used to be like page 1 or 2. Oh, here it is. Okay. So, qualities of the exchange. There's 5 different things that make money money. It must be portable. A little bit does a lot of work, so you want good value. It's got to be scarce to have a high value. Not overabundance loses value. So that's the inflation, the overabundance. Divisible for small exchanges. Fungible, everything is the same. Gold is always gold. Acceptance, everybody's going to want it, and it's got to be durable, which gold you can't destroy. Value, most marketable commodity, so it's got to be in the market. Gold has all the qualities. Bitcoin doesn't. The dollar doesn't. The dollar is not, it's portable, but it's not scarce. It is divisible, it is fungible, and it is replaceable. It's accepted and durable. The problem with the money is now it's overabundant, so it lost value. The beauty of gold, you can't overabundant it. That's it. Value depends on judgment. So what is it worth? And this is where the governments do a good job of hiding it. The prices go up. They go, that's inflation. The prices have gone up. And that is not that. The function of money is it's got to be a medium of exchange. You work for money to buy food, store a purchasing power, spend over time. So you want to save it, right? You don't want to just work, spend it all, work, spend it all. What happens? You never can stop working. So you put some aside, spend it later, but it's got to keep the purchasing power. Unit of account, measurement of account, common denominated. Did you make or lose, buddy? So this is directly from my master's class. So you're in a master's class. That's why I say it. That's the key to the gold and the key to the thing. Once you overabundance, it loses it. So once you print it, you're fucked. But gold, that's what gold does. You can't destroy it. Everybody likes it. Everybody wants it. It's can easily different denominations. There's tenth of an ounce, quarter, half, dollar. Same thing with silver. There's you can easily come out with a silver, nickel, dime, quarter, half dollar, and dollar. What right now they're $25 an ounce, and I think I'm going to go buy some more now. But that's really what you got to understand. And then the gold, that's why, as Prophet's saying, Bobby Bo, how you feeling today? Well, I was explaining Prophet's point. Prophet said the silver and gold have always been the most valuable because they're the most limited and the market chooses them. And gold has those 5 characteristics that I just read. I'll read them again for you, Bobby. So it's portable. You can put it in your pocket. It's scarce. There's not a lot of gold and silver. It's divisible for small exchanges. You have a gold, nickel, dime, quarter, half dollar, dollar, and the silver. And it's fungible. Everything is the same. All gold is gold and all silver is silver. It's accepted and it's durable. And that's why we need gold coins and silver coins. That's what the Romans did, right? So they inflated their currency by taking the gold and silver out of it. So in their marketplace on the Appian Way, like we're at Caesar's Palace, you would use silver and gold to buy things. And that's what happened. But when you took the silver and gold out of the coins, now the coins aren't made with silver and gold. The profit point, there's no silver and gold in it. It has no value. Nobody wants it. I want the gold and silver, which is what makes gold and silver the keys, is because it's accepted, and the copper and the brass is not accepted. Nobody wants copper and brass. That's why it has no value. But everybody, that's why gold's $2,100 an ounce, is because gold is accepted. People want it. So the price of I gave the price of gold out before, Bobby, but get out of my phone. Okay, so gold is at 2072 last night, and notice the 10 o'clock did not go down. It actually went up. Very rare. So 22, and then silver. And then silver's at 25.47. So I'm going to go, I think, buy 20 ounces of silver. 25.47. I don't know. It's been there before, and then it hasn't really performed. It hasn't hit the 35 yet, but we'll see. That's kind of, it must be accepted. And right now, as my whole point is, okay, these are not accepted anymore. These are not accepted anymore. These are going out. No want them. And the fact that prices go down does not mean that there's less printed. This is my point on the inflation. So they think they're going to raise interest rates is going to lower inflation. How? If you printed 1 million of these and you've ruined the value of them, what does a high interest rate mean to make these not printed as much? Nothing. That's why this whole thing with interest rates and prices are just bullshit. They're not. That's not what inflation is. That's not how you get rid of inflation. The only way you get rid of inflation is to back it by gold, and then it raises the value of the dollar because it's got a gold backing. Hence the gold standard. Hence every country that's ever done anything has had the gold, which is why Russia and China are collecting gold like it's fucking water. China was 60,000 tons and Russia with 32,000 tons or 35,000 tons. And Putin's hiding it in his swimming pool, probably. That's why they do it, because they know that's who wins. You win if you have gold and silver. You win because you can't inflate it. You can't print gold and silver, but you can print the paper. And so they play games telling us, if we raise interest rates, like in the 80s, Volcker raised it to 20%. That didn't stop inflation. All it did was it lowered prices because things got so expensive. But in 87, you had another market crash, which I assume is from inflation. In the 20s, the Great Depression was caused by the inflation of this. Look at Germany. The Bundesbank in 1923, they were printing. They printed 1 billion marks a day during their hyperinflation period, and you were wallpapering it. And you need the wheelbarrow, and then it went out. That's how Hitler got into power. I'll get you jobs. Don't worry. Now we'll go to war, and I'm going to steal the gold of every country in Europe to do it. But damn it, I'll do it. Which is exactly what he did. He stole the gold from every country that he could. That's what the war was about. It had nothing to do with war. It was about stealing the gold, because it's always about stealing the gold. That's what I don't understand with this. The Russia war we're doing right now, U.S. against Russia, is about them not going on the gold standard, but they're losing. So that Russia will go on the gold standard, and China's going, oh, fuck it, we'll go on the gold standard too. Because they all know a gold standard, you're king, because they can't fuck with your money. They can't print gold and silver. You can't print. And you can't print it to zero. And clearly the dollar, JP Morgan's printing it to death. And they understand that. I understand that. You guys understand that. That's what's happening. So you can't, that's why the paper gold it's really inflation of gold, but they can't print it. They can't make coins. So the only way they can inflate it is to print it with the derivatives. So what they're trying to do is inflate gold and keep the price down. But everybody realizes you can't inflate the physical gold. Why there's not a physical gold price just blows my mind, but that's our benefit because we're able to buy gold at 2,000 an ounce and silver at 25 on the paper market until it blows up. And then here comes the physical market because then people realize the paper market's, you can't inflate. It's got to be gold. You can't fake it like you can print this, right? I got the printing press turned on. I'm going to print more and more and more. That's what they do, and every country's doing it. But now they're all going to gold because they know you can't inflate physical gold. Price is going to go to the moon because they're going to realize how limited it really is because the derivative market and why they're using that as the price is beyond me. Yeah, I'd say fuck it. I'm pricing it. See, the problem is if I said, okay, I'm going to sell my 1 ounce for $25,000. The other people are too stupid and they're going to use the paper price and sell it for 2. Well, okay, so I can't sell mine for 25 even though that's what it's worth because all these other idiots are selling it at the paper price. So my only alternative is to buy it at the 2, knowing it's worth 25, knowing it's the paper price. So that's where our edge is. And that's why I bring up the Titanic. It hit the iceberg. The water's coming in. The ship has to sink. Me and Bobby go to the lifeboat as soon as the iceberg hits. We know then the water's coming in and the boat's sinking, so we get off then, which is what we're doing now. We know that the paper derivative gold price is bullshit and it's going to go to physical, and the whole world, the paper dollars are going to go to zero. We already know that, so we're already in the lifeboat, and it's like, we can buy more gold and silver at these stupid prices, which is what I'm dealing with, is to try to keep my money enough to last until the gold prices go up. Because I don't want to sell my gold at 2,000 an ounce. If I need money, I would just assume not spend my money and buy the gold and then sell the gold down. So I keep telling the girls, just can we wait another 6 months or another year? And by then I'm sure my gold will be 20,000 an ounce. And then I don't care about selling it, even though it's probably worth 50. Bobby Bo, I'm doing better, but 100%, just taking the cold medicine and getting Borodine for the next 2 days or so. Well, take a hot tub, have your girl massage you, and just have a lot of hot tea and stuff. Are you fasting still? The fast will help you also. Profit, didn't the Roman Empire fall because they switched from gold to a fiat economy? Yeah, wow, that's the inflation. They switched, they took all the gold and silver out of their coins. It's called the base bit, and then they went and all the coins then had brass or whatever in it, brass and copper, which doesn't have the value of gold and silver. So that's one of the reasons it fell. And then the Germans defeated them because they started paying the German soldiers gold. And the Roman soldiers wouldn't fight because they would pay them in gold and they had no more gold to pay them. So, yeah, I mean, well, you had bad leaders, Nero and Caligula, and, that was their Joe Biden. And so you had bad leaders who didn't understand the value of gold and silver, and that's why they went out. If they would I don't understand these countries, France, Spain, they did the same thing. You have the gold. Why do you go to war? And why do you not understand the value of the gold and silver that you would take it out? Or maybe they took it all and said, no, I want to hoard it. Don't put gold and silver in the coins. Just put copper and brass in the coins, and I'll keep all the gold and silver. I don't know exactly what they did with it, but that's pretty much the inflation. And that's also inflation when you take gold coins and you take the gold out of them. you're debasing the currency. That's how you inflate it. There's no more gold in the gold coin. You're fucked. So yeah, that's why the Roman Empire fell, and the Spanish and the French and the English, they all fell mostly because of war. Like France was Napoleon, and they went to Russia, and wars are expensive. So they start taking the gold to pay for the war. England did it with World War One. They took it and they gave us gold for weapons. Why are you even in a war? You've got all the gold. You're the man. You're on the top of the hill. What are you doing? And this is what they don't understand. And this is clearly what we don't. Well, we understand it, but these idiots in charge clearly don't understand that gold and silver are the key. You have gold-backed currency for a reason. Yes, you can't control because you're all a bunch of 5-year-old motherfuckers that are running the country that don't understand, oh, well, we'll follow Keynesians. You can print the money there. You don't need gold. You can print the money as much as you want and nothing will happen. That's fucking morons talking. You can't. Like I say, you eat cake and ice cream every day and you don't think you're going to gain weight. You don't think you're going to get diabetes. You don't think you're going to have a heart attack. You're out of your fucking mind. It's exactly why you get sick and why you die is all the sugar and everything else. This is what I point that out. But so if you think you can just keep printing or eating cake and ice cream and then you print and print and print and nothing's going to happen, you're out of your fucking mind. You are clearly clueless and should not be running a government or a economy or anything like that. And unfortunately, these are elected people. I don't even know if they're elected. Since JP Morgan runs it, I mean, they're not elected. And, it's who pays for it? The Madoff people, right? We're all getting Madoff because the dollar will have no value. This is why I've diversified into Cougarans, Maple Leafs, and U.S. Eagles. This is the problem that people cannot deal with, understand, or try to understand. You mean my $300,000 in the bank's worthless? How do you tell that to somebody and they deal with it? How do you deal with it? Buy gold. Oh no, gold never goes up because it's paper gold. They've inflated the paper gold to keep the price down. That's why gold doesn't go up, not because it's the physical stuff you can't inflate, you can't print, has a huge value. And that's why I say 50,000, because once you really let it go and get off of the derivative inflation of gold by printing paper gold by the derivatives, controlling the price instead of the physical. So there's this much physical and this much derivative. And so therefore the price of this should be to the moon and the price of the derivative up here should be down here. That's why this price is low, is because it's all derivative. So this is supply, right? This is how much there are. Well, there's so much paper that keeps the price down, but the physical is down here and the price is here. Hence the 50,000 and the $2,000-$3,000 silver. That's what it's based on. The inflation of the paper, printing it and running all these derivatives. And then for some reason, people following that price, which makes no sense unless the mafia is forcing you to. It makes no sense to not buy gold and silver, but you think, well, the price doesn't move. Okay, whatever. So that's really what happens and where I get my analogies from and my prices from. Because if there's only this much gold, the price is to the moon. And I don't know that 50's a real number. It could be 75 or 100. Once we understand that there's this much, and we understand Russia and China have this much, they got 100,000. So there's 250,000, and Russia, China have 100 of it. So that's what's left is this in tons, right? So that's not a lot. And then once the population realizes it, then you've got the Euro people going, you know what? We know our dollar's worthless. We need to then get gold. So now the supply, 100,000, 250, 100 now is like 160, 170,000 tons that's already taken. So there's very little left. And as everybody realizes, all the people realize they're fucked, their only opportunity is gold and silver, and silver's so cheap, they'll all jump into that while the banks jump into gold. And that's why the prices will go through the moon. And 100% certainty, that's what has to happen if we just use logic and economics, because as the Romans did, when you have no gold and silver, it's worthless. We don't have gold and silver, right? We are living on this. We are living on fiat bullshit, worthless currency. As Prophet just said, what happened to the Russians or the Romans when they did that, right? They went out. We don't have gold and silver. We have this. This is worthless. So as soon as people wake up and realize it, and that's probably what happened in Rome, they probably got away with it at first, changing the money from gold and silver to copper and brass. Once they understood what had happened, by Romans. And that's what's happening here. Once you understand that this is just a piece of paper and we don't have gold and silver, bye-bye. Because we know gold and silver are the value. That's the money. You can't inflate it, right? We know it can't be inflated. You cannot print it. You can do the paper bullshit, but people going, I got physical gold. I don't know what this price is. This is paper price. What the fuck is that? I mean, that doesn't mean anything. So that's really the point, is the paper price being bullshit, being inflated. Basically, they're inflating the paper price to keep the price. They're inflating the paper to keep the price down, because then it looks like there's more gold than there really is. And once we get to physical, and people realize that the paper, then that's when it'll really go. So that's coming very, very soon. And then BRICS and all these countries, BRICS, China, and then Europe, who now realize this, have all this gold, and they're going to start using the gold to save their countries, because they know the paper stuff's bullshit. As you're saying, that's a perfect example. The Romans then, as soon as their gold and silver, collapsed. And so basically nobody's got gold or silver, which is why Russia and China are saying, we know the story. We know what happens at the end. Everybody who doesn't have gold and silver dies, and we were buying all the gold and silver. That's what happened. So this whole moronic, idiot paper gold crap, and don't own gold, and I don't like gold, it doesn't move. Let's go to Hansel and Gretel for that. So it's like the witch, and she feeds them all the chocolate and then puts them in the oven, right? She fattens them up, puts them in the oven. Well, it's kind of the same thing. You're led to believe gold and silver have no value, and then then we're going to shove you in the oven, and that's basically what's going to happen. You're not going to have any value, and without gold and silver, you're fucked, because this is paper. This is my Kleenex, my glass wiper. It's worth the same. This is nothing. This has no value. The only thing is, when you go to the value is when you go to the grocery store, you pay your bills, they take it for some reason. But as I said, when I get my paycheck, when I'm working or Teaserking, it's immediately into gold. I mean, that's what I do. It goes to gold and silver. I mean, because I know it's worthless, but I got to balance enough in my safe to cover the bills, so I don't have to start cashing in my gold at these ridiculously low prices. Like I said, I went to the store, I don't know, a month ago, and the guy says, we're short on American Eagles. Do you have any? I said, of course. Well, I'll give you 2,000 for it. And I said, at a zero, at 20,000, I'll let you have one, which is still a price. So people don't see it. So it's starting to move up very slowly because you're still dealing with the paper derivatives, keeping the price down. But as people realize that gold is the only thing that can't be fucked with, that's when the price goes to the moon. And that's what we're all sitting here, and Luke and Bobby are going, when's the price going up? Well, we know it's going up. It's when people become aware that their paper's worthless and they all start buying gold, and it blows up the derivative market because they can't put derivatives out without the physical gold. And there's not that much left after these central banks in Europe and Asia are buying gold hand and fist at these ridiculously low prices. So put it to you this way, the reason it's at 2,100, it's that on purpose so people can buy it. So it's whoever's buying the gold is keeping the price down, which is Russia and China. So Russia and China are fixing JP Morgan to keep the price down, and they're buying it at 2,000 an ounce, knowing it's going to be 50, 60,000 an ounce or more. And eventually the dollar goes out and it'll be even worth more. So if you understand logic, you'd say, oh, the price is low. Why? It only benefits somebody who wants to buy it at the low price. So that's really, I think, our answer of who's fixing JP Morgan is the Russians and Chinese. Why the U.S. is too stupid to buy it, again, I have no idea. It's just, that's how stupid the U.S. banks are. They think they can just keep printing the dollar and it won't have any effect. Well, it caused the 1929 stock market crash and the 87 stock market crash. And 2008 was not anything to do with it. It was all because of mortgages that they had to lend money to people with no credit and no jobs. And then when they couldn't pay, all these real estate trusts that they were using the mortgages to give you the higher percentage. Well, if I don't get money in, I can't give you that. So that's why it collapsed. People weren't. So it had nothing to do with it. Was the bailout, of course, because they run. I fucked up with these real estate trusts. I need $1 billion. Oh yeah, okay. I'll press. It's kind of what happened. So that's the 2008. I love how they call it crisis. Profit. Shouldn't that rule apply to Bitcoin as well, since only a limited amount exists and no more will be created? No. What is Bitcoin? Gold's gold, but Bitcoin's not accepted by everybody, nor is it limited. I don't know that 21 million is limited, but nobody wants it. So again, the 5 rules. Is Bitcoin portable? Is it scarce? I don't know. Is it divisible for small exchanges? You can't even use it to buy anything. Is it fungible? Everything is the same. I have no idea. Is it accepted? No. And is it durable? No. It's some electric crap that is not, you don't even know what the value is. So I don't agree that Bitcoin's even money. I don't believe there's demand for it, and it's not accepted. I cannot go into Bitcoin and go into Kroger's and go buy meat. They won't take it. How can it be money? Now, your question is, well, about gold. Well, gold has a value. I could easily go and exchange it for money. Where do I do that with Bitcoin? So there's some similarities to it, but I don't know that Bitcoin is limited. I don't know that 21 million is limited. 250,000 tons of gold is very limited. And there's always a strong demand and use for it. So Bitcoin, the problem is it's not acceptable. I won't take it. I don't know what to do with it. I don't want a wallet where I got to remember a 25-letter key ring in order to get into my account to pull my money out. Oh, I lost it, and there goes my money. Well, if I got gold in my safe, it's right there. You can't inflate gold. Can you inflate Bitcoin? Absolutely, you can. Don't be naive in thinking that they can't print more of it. Doesn't it double? Isn't there 42 million? So how do you know there's 21 million? And then how do you know they're not inflating it? And I would bet they are inflating it. I don't know how the price is made. Gold is pretty much going to be supply and demand. Bitcoin is not supply and demand. And it's not accepted. So if I want to go fly somewhere, I want to go fly to Vegas. Can I use Bitcoin? No. Can I use gold? Kind of indirectly, yes. I can go cash it in and pay my credit card with it. Can I do that with Bitcoin? I guess, but it's a lot different. It's not acceptable. We'll find that gold and silver will be. Jesus. Yeah, so be careful with Bitcoin because it's electronic, and I would think very easily it can be inflated. Gold, you can't. Gold, you dig out of the ground, you make coins with it. Bitcoin, I don't know that I believe that it can't be inflated. It's just a computer generated nothing. They could easily print more, and if you're naive enough to believe that it is limited and they won't print it, Bitcoin, but I don't buy that. So that means there will be 442 million Bitcoin on the market. Well, there's the inflation. So they're already inflating it. How is that limited? And what is, are you talking limited compared to US dollars or limited compared to gold or what limited? Again, gold is limited because it's wanted, right? So everybody wants gold. Is there demand for Bitcoin? And I'm gonna say no. If I go to Switzerland with a gold ounce and I meet Egon and say, well, here, cash it in for me. And then he gives me, whatever it is in Swiss francs, whatever 2,100 US dollars is in Swiss francs. So that's where it is. Excuse me while I try to clean this bullshit here. I haven't gotten these in a while. Okay. So that's inflation profit, right? You're creating more. That's inflation. You're printing more dollars. The only reason this is accepted is they have to. So when I go pay my DTE energy bill and I give them my debit card and say, here, I'm going to use this to pay for it. It's in dollars. They have to accept it. I can't pay it in euros. So if I try to pay my bill in euros, they won't take it, only in dollars. And when I get a paycheck or my Social Security, it's in dollars. And that's acceptable because the government forces you to. You cannot, if I go to Target, you can't turn me down for using my debit or credit card or cash to pay for it. Even though it's in dollars, you have to. So that's really what's going on. And I wouldn't get involved. I've never gotten involved in Bitcoin. I think it's bullshit. I think it's a scam and it's a Ponzi scheme. And the difference is gold I have, right? You can't print it. So I know it's good. I know you can't print more of it. Therefore, it won't lose its value. They're trying to make it like, oh yeah, there's no demand for it. There's no market for it, is what they try to do because they want the market in dollars, right? So because they want this, they're saying that there's no demand for gold, which we know it's huge because all the central banks, Russia and China, are buying it. Wait a minute, if there's demand, the price should be, why isn't the price going up? Oh, because you're fucking with the price. Bitcoin, who knows what the price is? And then, like I said, it's not accepted. So it's not money. I can't go to the grocery store or buy a car with it or do it. There's really nothing. You can't even pay me for Teaserking. I won't take Bitcoin. I'll take gold and silver, but I won't take Bitcoin. So there really is no value in it, and it shouldn't be thought of as valuable and thought of in oh, okay, I'm gonna go invest in it. I would much rather invest in gold and silver where I know you can't inflate it. See, the biggest thing is that I try to prove is there's a market for this. If I try to sell it, I can get, let's say, $100 for it. That means there's a market for it. I have supply. There's demand to buy it. Somebody gives me $100. We have a market, right? And that's the point. In gold and silver, I try to buy and sell. There's a market for it. I go to the jewelry store, the coin store, and it's 2,000 an ounce, and I buy it. There's a market for it. There's supply. There's me demanding it, giving him the price. That's fine. Bitcoin, how is that derived at? And is there a market for it? So in the gold, they're trying to say there's no market for it, but we know all the central banks are buying it. So that's a lie. So we've got to then put our thinking caps on and realizing we're being lied to. There's a huge market because there's huge demand for it. As we see China and Russia, why the fuck would China have 60,000 tons and Russia 32,000? And you're telling me there's no demand for it? Well, there's 100,000 tons of demand. What are you talking about? So they know the value of it. So you can't say there's no demand for gold and silver. You know, they try to say it by keeping the price low. They're trying to they're trying to Madoff you into believing there's no demand for it. Buy dollars. You don't want to buy gold and silver. Look at gold and silver doesn't move because we keep the price low. So it looks like there's no demand. But if you open your eyes and see all the European and Asian demand, China, Russia, you realize there's huge demand for it, and therefore the price is not right. And that's where I step in, saying his price is not close to reality. $25 for silver? Are you kidding me? That's nowhere near reality. So that's really what you have. And you just got to be enough to understand that. Now, that's the hard part. Greg and John teach his family, and Bobby trying to teach the family to buy it. You've got to teach them so they understand what the fuck's going on, and they don't. And the hard part is people don't understand what I just explained to you, right? And nobody explains it the way I do, but that's really what the problem is. People do not understand. They're all getting fucked over. They're all being Madoff. They didn't understand the Madoff Ponzi scheme. Well, Madoff, how do you make your money? Oh, I can't tell you. If you want to know, you can't be in my Ponzi scheme. And I was watching it again, and I just kind of pick up things. And he says he would actually turn people away. I don't believe that. You needed the money coming in. Why would you turn anybody away? Not for that reason, not because you just didn't like them, but they probably were hammering you on how do you pick it, and he wouldn't tell them, so he didn't take them because he said, "Oh, they can smell what I'm cooking. They can smell I'm not investing because I can't explain how I make the money for them." So, like me, he would never accept me. So me and Bobby go to Madoff. He wouldn't accept us because we'd go, how the hell are you getting 15% returns? Well, I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that. We'd like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense. You know, so we're thinking it's a Ponzi scheme. And that's exactly what I did. Interest rates were 4 or 5%. And then my brother-in-law, oh, I can get 15%. I go, you can't. That's impossible because I understood the basics of well, it's like football, right? So Michigan's 21 over Iowa, and then somebody comes in and says, oh, I got Michigan minus 10. And I'm not in a teaser. That's my line. I go, bullshit. That's not real. Nobody's giving you 10 unless you do a 10-point teaser, and you're not getting a 10. That's a lie. And I know you're fucking with me because the line's 21 at every fucking sports book. So that's how I know you're full of shit. And that's what Madoff would have been. And then why would you be surprised when he's Ponzi scheming? And then you're going, oh my God, I lost everything. Well, what did you have it with him in the first place? If you didn't understand how he was getting it, why would you invest in something you don't understand? And that's the whole population today. They don't understand gold and silver. They don't understand the dollar being inflated to zero, being printed to zero. They don't get those concepts. So tell somebody with $400,000 to get out of their dollars and buy gold, they won't not understand it. They don't want to understand it. They don't want to know that the government's fucking them over. They don't want to hear it. And there's not a whole lot to do about it. That's why Bobby can't explain to his brother to buy gold and silver, or his father. They won't listen. George is still 4.5, 54.5. So that hasn't moved. So we'll see if Brock Bauer, this is probably Brock Bauer is being priced in. I just wanted to check the line. But that's really what it is you're looking at, you're looking at Brock Bowers. You're trying to explain things to people that don't live in our reality, can't understand it. They can't understand that the government would fuck them, they'd be made off, the dollar would fall to zero. They can't comprehend that whole thing, nor do they want to hear that. They don't want to hear the dollar's going to be worth zero. They don't want to hear gold's really worth $30,000, $40,000 an ounce being suppressed. They don't want to hear that because that's not their world. They can't understand that world. That's the real problem. So, Bobby says, hey, I'm going to buy silver and gold. And the family looks at him like he's from Mars because they can't comprehend what Bobby now understands, going, this is exactly what you need to do. There is no other way. And that's really the problem, right? And then you try to explain it. Greg and John, have your family send me an email. It's on teaserking.com. And we can talk about that. They're clueless, and but they don't know they're clueless. And this is the problem. How do you explain that you're clueless? And they don't want to hear they're clueless. They don't want to go to the bank and take their money out and buy gold and silver. That's the biggest problem. So I was proud of my friend at work. He took $100,000 and he wrote a check to the guy and got 50 ounces of gold, and he loved it, and then he bought silver. I says, you need silver also, that'll go up. He bought another 50, 60,000 of silver. I don't know where this guy got the money from. He was like a worker in the back room, not in finance. I make $100,000 a year. He doesn't make that. So I don't know where he was at, but now again, why do I make so much? Because of my skill set. Masters in finance and economics, and I worked at big companies because I have the masters, and it's a area that needs sharp people to look at their books and give them accurate information. It's a very vital part. That's why I make the money I make, is my skill set, and then my personality and stuff like that. So that's really what the point is. So I was talking to my friend Alyssa, and she's freaking out. I don't have a job. Even if she gets a job, she's just a waitress. She has no skill set. She doesn't understand that. It's funny. I gave her money for her birthday, and she spent it in 5 minutes. I says, you got to budget it. I can't give you $100 for your birthday and you spend it in 10 minutes. I won't say what she spent it on, but it's like, what are you doing? And she's crying, and I'm broke, and I don't have a job. And I'm like, well, I gave you money, but you can't spend it in 5 minutes, unless you're going to replace it. So that's why you got to budget it. And that's why we buy gold. So I got to budget my money until the gold goes up to the real value. And we're fighting the people trying to keep the price down who want you in dollars. That's really what's happening. So we're fighting with them, and it takes a while. Like I said, it takes a while for the water to go in the boat and the boat to sink. So right now the water's flowing in and the boat's sinking, but we know it's sinking, but a lot of people don't. And that's why, and they're fighting that. So again, the reason gold and silver is the place to be is you can't inflate it. You can't print. You can only dig it out of the ground. There's 3,000 ounces that gets pulled out of the ground a year. which is nothing, and the demand is huge. It's worldwide. Zimbabwe wants gold, and Russia and China want gold, and India want gold, and I guarantee you Saudi Arabia, all these oil countries want gold. That's what it is. And once you realize that printing paper is worthless, and not having, as Prophet said, not having the gold and silver is death. It killed the Roman Empire. How the fuck can you kill the Roman Empire yet? That's what happened, right? You didn't have gold and silver. And so that's apparently the key to the formula. You got gold and silver, you're fine. You don't have gold and silver, you're fucked. We used to have gold and silver. In 71, we said we don't want it anymore, and we're on the bye-bye blues. We're going down real fast right now, unfortunately, which, I can only try to educate you saying, look, the boat's sinking, buy gold and silver. As Prophet so eloquently said, that's what's needed to survive. You're in dollars. It's just you're waiting for the boat to sink. It's going to be worthless. So you're all fucked if you just hold it and aren't smart enough to buy the gold and silver. So when my lifeguard friends say, I don't have any money, I gave her 10 ounces of silver. I said, here, I'm not going to sit by and let you do it. I'll probably go buy another 20. But when I meet Jenna and Daria, I give them gold and silver to at least protect them. If they know it or not, or they don't have money or not, here you go. And that's what it's at. So that's what's critically important. You must have it because the dollar has no value, but they're not going to tell you that. Only I'm going to tell you that, right? Egon, he might tell you that. Putin's going to tell you that. The value's like a candy wrapper, he said. There's no value in the dollar. Now, people don't believe it because it's Putin saying it. You certainly got to believe Egon. Mark McGuire talks in riddles, so you don't know what this guy's talking about. And Alligator is, kind of gets it, but doesn't get what inflation is. They don't. Basic premise of inflation is they're inflating the dollar, or they inflate the gold paper. The gold derivative is inflated because they keep saying there's more ounces than is real, which is why the price is low, and they're keeping it low on purpose. So they know if they inflate the derivative price, the price of gold's low. So you have no interest because you don't think there's a demand. What's the biggest thing that happens? The line moves, right? I don't know, pick a line or like tomorrow. I don't know. If KC were to go from 6 to 10, you'd all bet KC because, you want to be that must be a reason. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to bet KC. And you do. And so if gold goes from 2,000 to 2,500, you're all going to jump in gold because you don't know why, but you know it's going up. So somebody must know something, and off you go. And I'm surprised you're not in it, just seeing it go to 2078 right now. Should make you get into it. But I'm at the stage where I'll buy a little bit more, but I'm pretty like, okay, let's let the price go up. Now I'm at like, let the price go up. Now I don't know how much I need. I know how much I have. I should be okay. And I'll give to the girls as it progresses. But I keep trying to explain to them, just would you wait, let the gold price go up, because I don't want to spend all my cash now. It'll be different if I get this job from the bank I'm waiting on, and we will see. Jenna wants me to meet in Germany. She all of a sudden she said, I'm going to Germany tomorrow. I says, well, I can't, and then I looked, I could get a ticket on Monday for only $650, which I was shocked. Then I need a hotel. Then I got to feed her and her friend. And I'm like, I don't, I'm not trying to spend my money yet. Or if I know I got the job, then I would do it. But I'm kind of not at the point where, let's go to Germany tomorrow. I'm mentally, I just need to plan and I need to understand that. So I want to go, I think. the airfare is so cheap, $600 to go to Berlin in 2 days' notice. I looked yesterday for Monday, and it was $600. I thought it'd be $2,000. I go, wow, that's so cheap. Again, that's the inflation, and nobody's probably flying because it's too expensive. So they lower the price to get more tourists. Is inflation down because it's $600 to go to Berlin? No. But so I'm thinking about it, but I'm not prepared, and I'm waiting on this job, and I kind of want to get the job, and then I'd go. So that's the problem. So we'll see. But again, I need my money to last me until the gold goes up, and then I'll get rid of my money and have the gold, and that's what I'm kind of waiting for. So it does strange things to your mind. You have the gold, but you don't think you have money. You're like, well, yeah, but I'm not going to spend that. It's only $2,100 an ounce. Put another zero, then I'll start spending it. So you know it's going to go up. You don't want to spend it now. So you want to stay in money, and you need that to last. Anyway, once I'm back to work, it doesn't matter. So we'll see. Hopefully I get this bank job, and then everything will be fine. Okay, so that's your economics lesson today. The inflation is printing things and making them value worthless. Much the same as eating chocolate cake and ice cream every day, getting fat and getting sick. Basically, it's the same thing. You're printing the money, it gets fat and it gets sick and it dies. So when you print the money, you're eating cake and ice cream. It's the same thing. You gain 100 pounds, your blood pressure's through the roof, and you're sick. And it's the same thing. And to say you're eating a carrot, like they say they're raising interest rates, how does that have anything to do with inflation? It doesn't have anything to do with inflation. It slows the economy because things cost more, and it makes prices go down because you have less money, so they can't keep the price where it is because the prices, the price has to drop because they won't make sales. They can't be in business. That's why you get out of the stock market when interest rates go up. You certainly get out of car companies stocks because they're anything to do with cars or houses, anything to do with interest rates. You got to get out of those companies. And that's every company has a line of credit. And so now their line went from 1% to 5%. And, it's an additional cost to the company. So the stocks should be going down, but they're printing money and putting it in these stocks. So the stocks are artificially high. Anybody in Tesla's got to be out of their fucking mind. So anyway, that's where you're at. With that. So the inflation is the killer, and it just devalues everything. And it's not the cost, it's you inflated the currency. And that's why the gold price is low. Inflating the derivatives to make it look like there's more gold supply than there is and keeping the price down. And it's all bullshit. The derivatives are not even the real ounces of gold, have nothing to do with it, and shouldn't be looked at as the price of gold. So we know the price of gold is much higher because the supply is much lower than what they're saying. So if they say there's 1 million ounces of gold, we know there isn't. There's only 250,000 tons of gold. There's not 1 million tons of gold. So that's being priced as if it's inflated, but you can't inflate gold. That's why you buy it. It's beautiful. It's accepted. It's fungible. You can't destroy it, and it's the only thing that you can't print. So that's why you buy gold and silver. If anybody's asking you. So the problem is trying to tell people, you can't explain it to people so they understand. I can do it here in this forum, but Greg and John goes to his sister and brother and says, buy gold. They're not going to believe them. They're not going to understand. They won't understand why. And Greg and John's not going to be able to explain it in the theory that I explain it. So the best is to have them watch the show And then they'll understand, oh, yeah, the dollar's worthless. They're not going to understand that. They're not going to understand because they don't even understand what inflation is, that it's being printed to zero. It's being printed. There's so much of it out there that it's worthless. No, nobody's going to understand that because they don't understand how the whole thing works, how you print the dollars, and the more you print, the less they're worth. Nobody understands that. That's the problem with it. So they get away with it because they go and they say, oh, it's not their printing, it's the prices. That's inflation. And people believe it because they don't understand it because they're not taught that. They don't teach it. I got lucky and learned it in the mid-90s at a business school. And you can see, I just tell you, I don't have to look at my notes. I looked at the notes just to get the definition of the money because I can't remember it off the top. I can kind of remember most of it, but as I'm talking now is what I learned. And you can see I don't need notes for it because I know it. And really, that's the whole key to it. That's the key to everything. As Prophet said, once you get rid of gold and silver, you're fucked. And guess what? The whole world's fucked. But Russia, China, and then some of the central banks in Europe who are buying gold won't be fucked. Their countries will be okay. Their dollar will be backed by gold. It'll be sound. But they need to come out with a gold-backed currency. You can't have the euro and then say, okay, now we have gold, so now the euro is fine. Not this euro, because this euro is worthless. They'll have to come out with a gold-backed euro. Then it'll be worth something. Because then it's attached to gold, which you can't inflate. And everybody goes, oh, good, it's gold. You can't print it like you can print the dollar. So a lot of people are in the dark, have no clue. For some reason, trust this corrupt government. I don't know. And remember, the government the banks control the government, not the other way around. And don't be naive and don't be stupid. Don't be like the Madoff people. Well, I don't know how he does it, but I get 15% a month, even though everybody else gets 5%. I'll just bury my head in the ground. And when he goes under and I lose all my money, I'll say, oh my God, I lost all my money because I was too stupid to ask questions of how. And when I couldn't get answers, I still played with them because I got 15% and I was too stupid to get out of it. Sort of like at craps. Oh, I kept playing. Even though the points hit 10 times in a row and the 7s do, well, I'll keep playing. The 7 won't show up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What are you talking about? All right. So football, let's go watch some games. We got Alabama, Georgia tonight at 4:00. Free picks, Georgia. Yeah, Brock Bowers, questionable, the receivers, but I still like the defense and the running game, which is the point. We're not betting because of Brock Bowers. We're betting because Auburn ran it down their throats. Georgia will. And defensively, they'll get all over Bill Rose. And, yeah, we have a freshman quarterback too, and hopefully there's not too many turnovers by him. That's the only way we lose is if he throws a bunch of turnovers. So as long as they keep running the ball and do what they did against Missouri and Tennessee, we'll be fine. So I'll bet the defense, which is Georgia. And that's your free play. And tomorrow the free play is Denver getting points from Houston. Somehow Denver's getting points from Houston. It's thank you, God. I mean, what are you going to say? It's insane. Denver's the hottest team. They got Russell Wilson. You got C.J. Stroud, and you're all excited. They lost to Carolina. All right, enough of that. A full slate again. $100 buys you this week's all the college playoff game, and then all the bowls and all the playoffs. For $200, you get the pros with it, all the way through the Super Bowl, all the locks, all that. So $100 just for college, $200 for both through the Super Bowl. www.teaserking.com. All right, have a good day, everybody. Take care, enjoy, and good luck.